Hey guys, this is Rob Paulson, and you're listening to the Geekcast Radio Network.
Hi, this is Bobby Curnow, and you are going to have a shell of a good time inside the pull bag.
Hello and welcome to The Pull Bag. This is episode 548. I'm, of course, TFG and Mike. Joining me once, almost as always, at least for the Turtles stuff, is Mr. Joe Reed. Hello, sir.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm well.
That's good. And yeah, folks, it's TMNT time again with Joe and I, and we are not doing the Reborn stuff yet. That's going to come later. We are finally getting to something that, well, it had a tough go of it, didn't it? IDW Publishing's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Last Ronin.
I am blown away by the amount of people I have seen in the Turtle groups finally picking up a Turtles comic because of this series. Mm-hmm. So many people I think are discovering IDW through it, but lots of people who don't read comics went out to get this issue, this series.
Yeah, folks, IDW did this at the beginning and during the pandemic and during all of the supply chain issues and every other issue. And I remember, was it issue 3 or issue 5? There were like 3 or 4 out of the 5 issues got super delayed. But we have it now.
And it felt exactly like reading the old school Ninja Turtle comics, because if it's not late, it's not Mirage.
That's
so
awesome.
That felt right at home.
Mm-hmm. And even though this is the 548th episode of The Pull Bag, if you are a new listener to The Pull Bag and you've never listened to our show in the last 11 years, what's wrong with you? And number 2, please listen. Go back and listen to all the other 547 episodes. But I was a cartoon kid. I was not a comics kid. I never picked up the... Joe is the comics kid. He's a cartoon kid too, but he's the comics kid. He knows all the Mirage stuff. I know basically him telling me, it's okay, stop stressing out, the red bandanas are fine. Like, okay.
Really, I mean, if you, and this is for you, Mike, and for our listeners, if you ever wanted to go back and read the Mirage series, most of the Volume 1 Mirage run that was out there, majority of it was written by people that weren't Eastman and Laird. It was written and illustrated by friends, acquaintances, other independent publishers, because something that they wanted to do, I think the whole mission of the Turtles was to support local independent black and white comic artists, the zine people. And so a lot of it, they were like, here, take our characters, do whatever you want with them, which I think is why the Turtles fit in all of these different genres to begin with, because they're just so bizarre that they work no matter what you want to do with them. But if you wanted to read the core Mirage stories, basically all you really have to read are 1 through 10 or 1 through 12, which are always in print, reprint, printed again. And then there's the Return to New York and City at War runs, which I think are both of those less than 12 issues each. So there's not a lot to the original Mirage series. And Volume 2 and 3, they don't count, and 4 are so bizarre that it would be weird to read, and I don't think it's necessarily important. But really, The Last Ronin, I think, was what Eastman and Laird had wanted to do to end the Mirage run eventually. It was where it was all headed.
It's like all the press releases were saying back when this all came out. At this point now, as I'm saying this, folks, at this point in 2024, 40 years in the making, or 32 plus years in the making, or whatever it was at the time. But you are absolutely correct. Story by Kevin Eastman, Peter Laird, and Tom Waltz. Script is done by Kevin Eastman and Tom Waltz. The pencils are done by Esau and Isaac Escorza, with inks done by Ben Bishop and Kevin Eastman. Layouts by Kevin Eastman. Colors by Luis Antonio Delgado, with color assistance by Samuel Plata. And One we always love, Rhonda Pattinson. I mean, we love all the artists and whatever else, but we always talk about Rhonda's stuff, so. Letters and design done by the incomparable Shawn Lee. Cover art done by Esau and Isaac Escorza. And the cover colors were done by Luis Antonio Delgado. Now, folks, Joe, he's one of my best friends, and I don't want to call him a cheap bastard, but he won't pick up trades. He wants the single issues. He'll pick up trades if they're in a $5 bin at a convention.
Yep.
So, and I will wait. I won't purchase the singles. Especially in this case, it was so hard because this came out during the COVID pandemic in 2019, 2020, et cetera, et cetera. So it was so hard to get this, and I'm just like, I'll just wait for the trade.
It was so hard even collecting the singles in the shops because, one, there were 500 million covers.
Yep.
They reissued some of the covers as second prints, and they printed black and white editions. They printed director's cut editions.
Yep.
There's a lot. And frankly, I'm not even sure which printings of these I'm reading. I think the way IDW does it is if it's a red tag, red issue number down there, that it's usually the second printing, which I think is what I'm reading. Nope, it's the first printing.
It's the first printing.
The first printing of Last Ronin #1 is more than $100 book right now.
Wow.
I am accidentally touching it because I thought I was reading the second print the whole time. So I'm going to have to fix that before I put it back in the bag. But, there's that. I do need to get a trade.
Yes, you do. So because I collect and trade, the trades always have the extra stuff. They always have the covers at the back, which is the reason why we talk about the covers at the end of the show. But in this, because this is a 5-issue series where it's beginning, middle, and end of story, they have an introduction and they have an afterword. And thanks to Google Lens, I ripped out that text. So the introduction, I will say this ahead of time so I don't have to read it at the end. It is done by filmmaker Robert Rodriguez, who at the time when he wrote it was in Austin, Texas, March 3rd, 2022. And he says, I first discovered TMNT in the later 80s when in college. The comics had been out for a few years. The animated show had just begun, and it was the talk of the school because the phenomenon had been dreamed up in a kitchen over pizza by a couple of friends. The original film came out a few years later. I saw it in an advanced word-of-mouth preview screening. You don't have an advanced word-of-mouth preview screening today, folks. You have preview screenings, but usually you get, an email or something like that. There is no such thing as word of mouth anymore unless you're listening to a podcast. At least I don't think there is. I don't know. I could be wrong. I remember being blown away and inspired that this whole wild creation that caught fire everywhere was created independently, and it had started as an indie comic. It made us all feel like the sky was the limit, and maybe we too could come up with ideas that could have cultural impact, and was exciting time both as consumers and fans of movies and animation as budding comics creators. Later, I again would get to experience just what a phenomenon and multi-generational fandom Ninja Turtles really was. I was able to turn all 5 of my kids into as each grew up through the many different eras and iterations of the property. It was part of their rites of passage that they learn all about the lore and the legacy of the Turtles and their world through whatever medium was popular at the time. And like a science project, I got to witness them argue passionately over which movies' animation versions were truer and more authentic. It was always dependent on which version each kid grew up with. The only thing they seemed to agree on were the comics. They all loved the comics. We'd read them and we would draw them as well. I've gotten the privilege of being friends with Kevin Eastman over the past 12 years, and he is such an inspiration that the hardest working man in the business. I mean, this guy works hard. Hanging out in his studio while cranked out new run of Ninja Turtle comics was a life highlight for me. It would blow my kids' minds that I knew Kevin Eastman. Whenever he was in Austin, he'd draw turtles for my kids. He was the magic man. Though knowing the guy behind it all made them appreciate the property on a whole other level. So what a mind-blowing day it was when Kevin sent us a preview of The Last Ronin. issue number 1. Seeing their reaction as it was read together, it felt like a full circle in their growing up, gut-wrenching and solemn at times, exciting, life-affirming, and art-affirming. We all read it and we were floored, and it was another rite of passage for them going into their adult world. We've now read the entire 5-issue miniseries, and it is clear that The Last Ronin is a gritty, post-apocalyptic, dramatic tale that has us all riveted from start to finish. It was really something to see the series grow with them and get to this point at the right time of their lives. I can't think of another IP that has done that. I can think of a few, but that's whatever. That aligned with my and my kids' lives like that. A true testament to the lasting and continuing impact this creation has had on our collective lives as a family. So stop yourself. I can't talk. So strap yourselves in, for this is serious fun. It's wildly imaginative and full senses assault that demonstrates the lasting power of the Turtles' inspired world and independent spirit and their collective lasting impact. It is also a true testament to the passion and hard work of the treasure that is Kevin Eastman. So that's the introduction to the trade from filmmaker Robert Rodriguez, and holy crap, folks! Now, for me, I thought this was like Who Is. Like I thought this was one of the. And I'm not saying IDW does this. I'm saying in general, comic books and film studio, comic book companies, film studios, television. They sometimes will, if a story is basically, find out who this character is, this, that, and the other. Oh my God, it's a mystery. It's a mystery. It's like, which one of the Clue characters did it in which room with which weapon kind of thing. That's what I thought this was at first. Like, we didn't know who the Last Ronin was. And then like a month ago, Joe was like, yeah, you know it was Michelangelo, right? I'm like, spoilers!
I'm so sorry.
like, dude, come on. And normally, spoilers don't affect me because half the time, by the time I get to reading or watching anything, I'll have forgotten what people have told me. Obviously, I remember it now, just like I remember him in red bandana or whatever. But it's just one of those things where I was like, oh, but I thought that was, he's like, no. And I have since found, I think it was you that told me, or I might have read it somewhere or heard it somewhere. Spoilers, folks. So if you, and we are going to spoil the hell out of this series, folks. So if you haven't read it yet, stop the podcast right now and go pick up the last.
Stop it about 60 seconds ago before we tell you who it was.
yeah. But where the hell was I going? But yeah, no, like I love this book. And I don't know if it's just because we've been doing this for a decade as far as the IDW. I said this to you off air, and I'll say it again, and I still stand by this. While I think this, you said you thought it could fit into the IDW continuity, I still see it as something separate. But I see, because it's IDW Publishing doing it, I see and hear and the emotional impact. This book has just as much emotional impact as the entirety of the regular IDW TMNT series.
Yeah. I think it's kind of written gently enough to kind of maybe be able to fit just about anything you want it to. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think if they've killed off anybody in the book that's in this, or if anybody died in a different series that's in this. But frankly, it doesn't really matter. It's the point of this is that it is essentially a standalone story that's really quite good.
Yeah, it is its own thing. And seeing characters like Splinter's alive, at least throughout part of this.
Yep.
So in the so far.
Yeah, there we go. So that means not IDW.
So far in the main IDW series, they haven't killed the Turtles off yet. So far, but no, when I read this, I went in because, again, folks, and you've heard me say this for the last 11 years on this podcast, I need color. I need definition. And that was one of the things that the Mirage, the cartoon was the color for me. I did not need the black and white of the comics as a kid. But what they did with this series, and like Mr. Rodriguez said and other people have said, how gritty it is. I love how gritty it is. I like a it's not as neon as it, but this kind of reminds me of Neon Knight Riders from TMNT 4 Turtles in Time, like this apocalyptic future, even though that was brighter in the game than this is, but like it's an apocalyptic Turtles future, and it's awesome and it's fun, and holy crap, like wow, just wow.
I think I remember what you were going to say. It was about the first turtle.
Yeah.
Drawing.
Yeah. So you had told me, or I had heard Kevin say something, or I read something somewhere where they're like, the reason why the Last Ronin is Mikey is because that was the first turtle that they drew.
Yep. The first illustration out there, earliest thing, is that black and white, chubby, short-legged turtle with nunchucks strapped to his arms, and nunchucks ended up being Michelangelo. And so he was the first, and he's going to be the last.
Yep.
Which when it was released and when it was being solicited, nobody knew who the Last Ronin was, and tons of speculation in there. Like it's got to be Raph. Raph was the toughest one. It's got to be Leo. Leo was the leader, and well, nobody ever thought it was Mikey or Don because they're the B team.
Well, now hey, shut your mouth.
2012.
With you?
It's established. It's canon.
Yeah,
but we didn't know who it was until the end of the first issue, and then everybody's like, "What?" Explosion.
But it makes sense, not story-wise, not the fact that from their point of view, it was the first turtle that they ever drew. I think that's great.
Yep.
But story-wise, it makes sense that it was Mikey, because Mikey has always been the heart of the team.
Yep. And yeah, he wasn't always the fighter. He's the hippie. He wasn't the one who was going to dive in front of any bullets. He wasn't the one who was going to rush off and do something stupid. He wasn't the one who even had a plan for something to do. He was, and so it makes sense that he kind of would have survived.
Yep.
But not without his own emotional scars and attitude.
And I love how, with calling it The Last Ronin and making like this main cover, the main cover with him basically looking behind him, and you see his back. And again, one of the reasons why in the solicits nobody knew was because this turtle, whoever it is at the time, number one, he's wearing a black mask, so there's a Slash reference right there. Number two, he's got all the weapons, so if he's the Last Ronin, that must mean he's the last turtle. That must mean the other three, whichever other three they were at the time. You know what I mean? Like, you couldn't tell who he was because his back has the side, the bow, the katanas, the nunchucks, has everything. And I love the way this reads. Up until the reveal of who the Last Ronin is, I didn't know who I had in my head. I always have a voice in my head for whatever. Like when we read the main series, most of the time I'm either hearing Barry Gordon or Rob Paulson as Donnie. I'm either hearing Cam Clark. I'm mostly hearing Cam Clark as Leo. Raph is either Rob Paulson or Shawn Astin. And Mikey, it's most notably a more emotional, less goofy version of Townsend Coleman when we read the main series. This, I wasn't sure who was coming into my brain because I didn't know who it was. And obviously, once we get the reveal of who he is, it's like, oh, right. And man, this book. So how do we want to do this? I mean, I know it's only 5 issues, and that's fine. But I know we normally go through everything, and that's fine too. But like,
I don't know, man. I'm flipping through this, and I realized how tremendous a moron I am, because I realized this is all totally inspired in style and color by Dark Knight Returns, Frank Miller.
Yep.
The color can be just obnoxious and neon like the person who just discovered Photoshop in the 90s, and it's that giant hulking gritty Batman.
Yep.
Like they're channeling it in every single panel.
Yeah, absolutely. Like if you look at it's probably page 9 in the single issue, but it's the one where he jumps down off the roof and he lands. He has kind of like the Dark Knight Batman pose. It's right before It's right before where he says to himself. He says, "What does he say here?" He said he goes to jump down. Time to finish this or die trying. So those panels where he jumps down, he looks behind him, and then he pulls out the sai, and this is so good. And I was floored. The story floored me, and even when we get to the later issues of the full-on homage to the Mirage, like I said, I never had an issue. I never had any connection to the black and white. I love the black and white in this.
Yep.
When they do that is so good.
And I love that they did it on Duoshade, the old toning photoreactive paper. It's definitely digital because they don't have access to the real stuff anymore, but they made it look like the old Mirage series.
Yeah.
Because that just became like the signature style was that Duoshade.
Yep. Absolutely. Oh boy. So we are in a post-apocalyptic New York, and so this whole time that in this first issue where the Last Ronin is talking, whether he's monologuing or whether he's actually speaking, where he says, "It doesn't matter, the plan stays the same, I just need to get from here." We see shadows of the other three turtles. So from here to there, and he points to the tower with the sai. And again, you would think that this is Raph because he's using the sai and whatever else. And in this panel here, the background three turtles, they're not they're defined, but they're not defined enough where you could tell which one is which, which is nice.
And I think even now, I wasn't quite sure if he was actually alone.
Yeah.
And so I think we're led to feel the same way as the Last Ronin here, where he's not actually alone. He's got these people supporting him.
Yep.
And, we realize later how untrue that is and how unwell Mike is.
Yep. So yeah, he just needs to get from one point to the other point, and he tries to do so, and motorcycle explosion.
Yep, he tries to break it. Well, so the whole story is the other turtles are dead, and he has felt compelled to finish the mission that his dad sent him on. And that was what issue 1 of the Ninja Turtles was Splinter trained up the turtles for the sole purpose of killing the guy who killed his wife. And they're trying to kill Oroko Saki. And now, for everything they've been through, Mikey is going to go kill the last Saki, who happens to be Karai's son, Shredder's grandson, Hiroto Saki, who has taken over the entire city of New York. And it's a police state, fascist nightmare, global warming, walls around the city sort of thing.
Yep, robots everywhere. It's every post-apocalyptic thing you could ever imagine. There's robots, there's this, there's that. It's just everything.
Yep, layers and layers of city, and it gets worse the further you go down.
Yep. Yeah, there are 3 layers. There's basically like the bottom, the middle, and then the upper layers. So it levels to it and everything else. And I love this art. These artists, this is amazing. Like I said, this first issue, part of this, when he's going through the city, when we get the brighter colors and we get the flying cars and stuff, it really reminds me of the Neon Knight Riders level on the Turtles 4 Turtles in Time video game. But yeah, so he finally gets to where he needs to go, fights a whole bunch of robots in between. And man, I didn't see this when I first read this. I just read it for the story, but now I really am seeing this entire first issue as a video game level.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing.
He's trying to speed run it, Gosh, I've been trying to tell my son this the way I watch him play video games, and the line in the old days was inch by inch, Halo is a cinch, mile by mile. Oh gosh, how's it go? Now I've forgotten.
I don't know. I have no idea.
It's hard to beat it by running through it.
Yeah.
And if you take it slow, you'll win.
Yep,
Inch by inch, Halo is a cinch, mile by mile. I can't remember. I have to ask him because I've said it so many times now it's out of my head. But he's trying. He's just bum rushing, going in full Raphael through the main gate, and he's whittling himself down.
Yeah, and this is one of the reasons why I never thought this would be Mikey, because come face me, Hiroto, you coward! Like, that's Raph talk. That's what Raph would say. I mean, I get it. Mikey's lost everything. Trust me, I know a lot about loss, and we all do. Like, we've all experienced loss before. It unfortunately is a part of life, but like, I get it, but it just, I hear Raph in those words. That doesn't sound like, and again, Mikey's been through a lot, and I don't know.
It's also kind of interesting because definitely in the early days of the Ninja Turtles, they didn't quite have those distinct personalities. Donnie didn't do machines. Mikey didn't go crazy for pizza. It was they were all kind of the same.
Yeah,
and they developed that later and kind of all of it in a response to the original cartoon. But you have Michelangelo here, kind of in a Mirage homage, taking on the personality of all of the Turtles at the same time.
Yeah.
They've all kind of been coalesced into him.
Yep. And I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying...
definitely not.
I'm not saying it's bad at all. I'm just saying, like, I don't hear Mikey's voice in this. So, and we get this girl, little purple girl. Kind of reminds me of Purple Dragons. It's not Purple Dragons, but, like, the girl here with the robots and all that, and she sees that Mikey got injured, and I'm just going to keep calling him Mikey because we already know.
Yeah.
And she starts following the blood trail and into the sewers and all of that, and we cut back to Foot Clan headquarters where Hiroto is, and it says, which does beg the obvious question, if vengeance was the why of the creature's clumsy assault, what then was the how? So we get that, and we see him, and he's got his mother Karai in this, like, I don't want to call it a BAFTA tank, but all I can think of is stupid freaking Boba Fett in the stupid the regeneration chamber. Let's just
it's the glass tank from Alien. How about that?
There you go. Yeah. So this is Oroko Hiroto. Oroko Hiroto. See, they never actually. I don't think. I'm pretty sure you can correct me, but I just read this yesterday. They never call him Saki. They always call him Oroko Hiroto. So I guess we're just assuming it's obviously Saki because of Karai and obviously and all that. Whatever. I don't know.
Hiroto is his first name, and they wouldn't call him that.
Well, I don't know.
Like, traditionally, that's not how you would identify them, but they're probably doing that so people
know that he's a different. Yeah, they're trying to.
This is not Shredder.
Yeah, this is not Shredder. Not yet, anyway. That comes later.
Because they never call Karai Saki either, even in the old series.
Yeah. Yep. I like him. I think he's interesting. We will get further into him. I like that there's some, like, instead of doing some mumbo jumbo thing of timey-wimey of how Oroko Saki could be here, the actual Shredder, I like that it's a lineage thing.
Because in Mirage, the original Shredder dies in the first issue, and he doesn't exactly come back, not in any kind of real way. They fake it a couple times, but it's never actually him.
Yeah.
But so that explains why Karai shows up at City at War, and why she was something to have his grandchild at some point.
Yeah. And the terrorist remains loose, and we get back to Mikey, and he is pretty badly injured, and he's making it through the sewers barely, and I love the panel where, dude, you don't got to do this. Quiet. No more talking. I like that. And we kind of see it's just him, right? Yeah, it is just him going through all the weapons. Okay.
Yeah, he's setting him down. He's setting up his ritual suicide. Yeah,
he's setting up his. Well, he's not setting up his ritual suicide. I don't want to call it that. But
well, that's what it is. He's about to commit seppuku because he failed at his mission.
That's true. Okay. Well, wow. Yikes.
Yeah, that's how low he is in this movie.
Oh. And I love how it's not completely orange and it's not completely yellow. It's more of a mix in between for his monologue. I love that. I think that's amazing. I think that's great.
Yeah, I never realized that.
Yep. And he says, I miss my brothers so much and I miss my father. More than anything else, I wanted to make him proud. Yeah, he's about to do himself in.
Yep.
And then the purple girl shows up. What the? No, not yet. Not like this. Oh. So that's Mikey.
Yeah, he's like not letting himself go.
Yeah. Holy crap! It's a no way. You're a mutant turtle. Dun 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 dun. It's got the heartbeat monitor. You guys don't wake him up soon. And that's how. So it's got the EKG or whatever the life set. If you guys don't wake him up soon, I'm eating the last bagel. English muffins are better. Hey, Sleeping Beauty, wake up. We got things to do. So because he's essentially whatever to himself, and she says, no, not yet, we go into a flashback where
takes over on pencils.
Mm-hmm. Ben Bishop takes over on pencils, and
which
the
I
colors.
think is a neat way to tell flashbacks. Yes.
Yep. That's the cool thing about IDW. Anytime that they've done flashbacks, a different artist will do the flashback versus you'll have who's the current who's current main artist on the main book?
Sophie.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you'll have Sophie doing the main stuff, and then maybe Rhonda will pick up a flashback, or you'll have like Dan Duncan doing the main art on the original run of IDW, and you'll have somebody else doing. I love when IDW has always done that well and one of the reasons why they do that well is because it defines a time. There's nothing I hate more in anything, not just comics, but time jumps when they're just so jumpy. I know that doesn't make any damn sense, but it's so raw and just so. But this was nice. This was easy. This was, oh my God, no way, you're a mutant turtle. And then we get like I said, the EKG, the life signs, and then we go into the flashback with Ben and his flashback. Holy crap. I was so confused. Like, I love the flashback. I absolutely love it. And I think it's great. And it's so bright and colorful. But then we get to the first panel of April. April, is that really you? Yes, it's me. And we see Mikey beat up in bed, and I'm just like, wait, oh right, this isn't the flashback anymore, because it goes back to the norm. I thought this was like, I got really confused, but yeah. So I am so glad I did not get this in singles, because I would be chomping at the bit for part 2.
See, I love that feeling. Tune in next week, folks.
Yeah, I do, but I just want to turn the page and find out next week now. Like, I want it right now. Next week, right now. Please, thank you. 2 weeks from now, right now. So yeah, part 1, or issue 1, holy crap. They fit so much into this, just the first issue, and we're not even done with it. Wow.
It is amazing. I think And this is where, everybody's heads collectively exploded to find, like, what? It's Michelangelo, the weenie one of them? What? He kicked so much butt in this, and then he almost killed himself because he failed. Like, what? Mikey? Yeah. And Mikey, I think that really also gives you an idea of how far he had fallen to get to this point. But yeah, I think this was where everybody was collectively hooked on the series.
Yeah, absolutely. The Last Ronin, Part 2, First to Fall. And we start out with Now and April in bed. And so let's... Okay, she's crying.
Because she's remembering the night everything went
okay,
off.
That's, like, I knew, like, I mean, I get it. Hello, because the next page is what the next page is, and we'll talk about that, but I don't know. I mean, I guess it works, because then we immediately go to what the next page is, and that next page is at the very top. Second time around. What the heck?
I can't remember if that's what they called it in the comic series or if that was straight from the movie. That sign is straight from the movie.
Yeah, I think it's straight from the movie. I don't know about the comic series. You're supposed to know this stuff.
I know. It's been so long since I read it. They're reissuing in trade again soon.
Yeah. Well, Yep. But no, I love seeing that. I think that's absolutely amazing. Second time around, all that. Casey and April. Well then, I was not expecting this. Because we know Casey and April as a couple from the main series from IDW, but I was not expecting Casey and April to be what they are in here, and I love this. I love every bit of this.
Yep, destined to be together.
Uh-huh. Yep, I love every bit of this. I even love the party crasher because he's injured. I mean, it would have been nice if he kind of fell through the roof, but going through the door is fine too, I guess. Movie references. God, I love it. Oh my God, Raph! He crashes through the table and we see him and Mikey and Donnie. And what do you... okay, so we got Mikey and Raph with their bandanas, which is fine. They're very traditional. What do you think of the Donnie design here with him having the hat and then I think the bandana's around his neck?
Yeah, and I'm going to turn the page here. Oh, yeah. I don't know. Maybe he did that because it was Thanksgiving. Maybe it's cold outside.
Maybe. I don't dislike it. I just, again, it was one of those like weird, like, okay, everybody else has their bandana over their eyes, and then Donnie has it around his neck. But then again, he is wearing a hat, so who knows? A turtle and a giant trench coat, like, So we get a quick flash forward to April as she's thinking about the past, and then we go back to This Is Bad, Master Splinter. It's April, Mikey, and Donnie. And she and Donnie are trying to do surgery on or trying to do stuff with Master Splinter to save his life. We get Raph, and Casey is like, who the hell ambushed you, foot bastards? Like, okay. I hear I hear, God, what's Joshua?
Yep.
What's his name? Is it Pace?
Pace.
Yeah, Josh Pace. And I hear Elias Koteas.
Yep.
I hear them in those voices. I hear, large strike team jumped us when we came out of the sewers. And again, Raph is always, every damn foot in this city is about to find out what a big mistake they made tonight. And look who shows up. Stand down, Raph. I love it I love how each of them have had their own entrance in just this scene.
Mm-hmm.
You got Raph coming in like, make way, we got to make room. You got Mikey and Don being the carrying ones with carrying Master Splinter. And then Leo bringing up the rear with, covering their asses to make sure they don't get dead. with whatever ambush this was. And I think, again, Leo has always been the level-headed one. Leo has never been hot-headed. That's always been Raph. And yeah, so they're gonna go see Dr. Lee to see if they can help. And then Casey noticed, hey, where's Raph? Leo's like, damn it. You know, I love it. I think it's great, but I just wish that it wasn't on the end. Damn, like just do another. Me and my references, and then we go back to the present day with April, and we find out what April. Wow. I was not expecting robotic April. She's not a full robot. She has
she's an amputee.
She's an amputee. I was not expecting amputee April, but man, does it add so just what holy crap, why is she an amputee? When did that happen? How did that happen? Why didn't it's the Turtles' job to save April O'Neil every single time, you know? So how did that, whatever, yeah. So go ahead. Sorry, I'm talking way too much.
My April was never a reporter. I always clung to the scientist April that used to work for Baxter Stockman and then kind of failed sideways into the Turtles.
Yep.
But she's got that science background.
Yep. Oh, and I love it. I mean, I love both versions now. So I love in the comics how many times they were able to either bring April back to the science stuff or homage the report. It's always been so good how they've handled her character in any of the iterations that IDW has written for.
Yep.
And so this is the present day as she's getting out of bed, and she says, which threw me for a loop. Hey Casey, a little help here? I'm like, wait a minute, what?
Is he still around?
And then we cut to next page is Mikey lighting matches. And
letting each one burn down to his big fingers.
And we see him envisioning his three brothers. And again, the colors. You and I have always talked about these last 10 years about how slightly different in the main IDW series. Like Mikey is a really dark green. Raph is this green. Leo is the different kind of greens. And what I love to show the difference that the other three are not there is they are all dark green, but they all have their bandanas. And I mean, clearly you can tell. On the left is Leo, in the middle is Raph, and on the right is Donnie, because Donnie has the goggles on, because Donnie always wears goggles now. But no, I love just that panel. I love that panel. It's so cool.
Proceeds to get into an argument with the voices in his head.
Yep. The last thing I remember is what does it say here? He says, the last thing I remember was the explosion, and then I was out of it pretty bad when I finally came to. I couldn't remember anything for days. Yeah, so he's making some tea, and I love this page. You know what my mission was in this tower. A one-way ticket from the start. For our father, for our family, for our honor. And just seeing the empty table, just wow. So he's making the tea, and does Casey? No, Casey.
Oh my gosh!
Yes.
He poured 4 cups.
Yep, that's what I'm saying. This whole thing is meant to look like it's the 4 of them without Splinter. And he boils he cooks makes the tea, boils the tea, all that stuff, boils the water, pours the 4 cups, and they hold for the visions in his head I will finish what we started, what Master Splinter raised us to do. The last Oroco must die. And we go back to the flashback.
Ben Bishop takes over again during the flashback, which I see the building that Raph is leaping by is Aggregatic, which is a toast to his book, Aggregate.
Yep.
Which is a great series. You guys should go read that, everybody in the trade. It's not a series. It is a single trade. Choose your own adventure, and it's really fun. It's like a video game.
Yep. We will have to do that sometime this year.
That will be very hard to do because it is really choose your own adventure. Like, there's no one way through the book.
Okay. Well,
it's fun.
We can figure out. I'm sure you and I can figure out a way to cover it without having to, go through the. We'll figure it out. So yeah, you got the aggregate there. So yes, Ben Bishop back on the art, and this flashback. We're only 2 issues into. I remember when I read this, literally, like I said, as of this recording, we are just under 24 hours away from me having read this whole trade on the March. I read it on St. Patrick's Day in 2024, and there isn't a single issue of the 5 in here that I haven't at least cried 3 times in each issue because of just everything that goes on. And
cameo on the bottom of that page for Eastman and Laird.
Yep. Wait, on the Bishop page?
Yep, on the subway.
Oh yeah, very cool. And then later we get that is awesome. Very, very awesome. Later we get 11th and Bleecker. Much later, but we get it. So we go to, where is she? Where is Karai, imbeciles? And we see Karai. And she's going up against Raph and the Turtles, or she's just going up against Raph. Now this... Yeah,
this is Raph split with Splinter bleeding out on the table, and he's just shanking fools.
Yep, he's just, yep. This reminded me, so even though this is, I think, is this in the sewer?
He got somebody in the sewer, but now she's giving a speech to everybody because she broke the truce.
Yeah, they're at Foot headquarters. Okay.
Yep.
Makes sense.
Yep.
So we've had 2 instances so far with Raph where it's like the first movie. Him breaking through the door instead of coming through the ceiling in the aftermath of the battle on the roof in the first film. And now this is essentially the battle on the roof from the first film.
No, this is the battle in the junkyard where he goes off to Foot headquarters.
Oh, okay. Hey, either way. Look, references. I'm all about the references. You guys, and he goes up against Karai, and they end up underwater, and holy crap. Just holy crap. And
what is remarkable about this book, the whole series, is that Nickelodeon owns Ninja Turtles, Paramount owns Ninja Turtles, and we know from the interviews that we've done with Waltz and Bobby that you have an idea, you have a book, and Paramount needs to look at it and say, yep, this flies, nope, this doesn't, you got to change this. And I learned at the last convention with the 3 Mirage guys that they've all been on the phone with the Paramount person because of their contributions. And I don't know if it was always this way, but whoever is in charge now he's one of us. He's one of you and me. He's grown up with the Turtles. He's a Turtles freak.
Yep.
And so nowadays, more likely than not, he and Paramount and Nickelodeon say yes. And we are seeing full-on violence. Like, Raph is literally stabbing people left and right. Karai's shanking Raph over and over again. He's got arrows in and out of his body, blood everywhere.
Yep.
He stabs her in the back with his sai. She stabs him in the head and throat.
Yeah.
And she's out. He's out and sinks.
Yep.
But hands come and rescue her.
Yeah, hands come and rescue her. But what I love about this it's not an ending, but so the hands come and rescue. I know, yeah. So the Psy falls away, and we see the Psy falling and falling. I've been enjoying taking various screenshots of like the most obscure things things that you won't things that people won't get immediately. Like, yeah, sure, I can take a picture of Chris Pine as Captain Kirk and say, hey, I'm watching Star Trek Beyond. Or I can take a picture of an explosion of one of the ships in that movie and say, hey, guess what I'm watching? And the same thing here, this big this page panel with the Psy falling away, the red and everything else in the water. I screenshotted this and somebody got it within two guesses. I was like, damn. Like, damn. So we get back into the main part of the story because the flashback is, kind of done for now. Michelangelo, what the heck are you doing up? You should still be resting. I couldn't sleep, so I made some tea. I hope that's okay. Of course it is. This was your kitchen way before I moved in. And sorry, I just got worried when I didn't find you in bed. Damn it, I'll have to edit that out. So it's Mikey and April talking, and I love where this next panel where my arm, sorry. Don't be. Got one just like it for a leg. Souvenirs from the last time we saw each other. Oh boy. So I'm happy you're alive, Mikey. Yeah, thanks, April. You too.
Poor Mikey, everything is still fuzzy, so he doesn't remember what that meant.
Yeah, he doesn't remember anything. Yep. And we have this whole thing between the two of them. And then she yells, Casey, breakfast. Wait, what?
What? Casey's alive?
Alive too? Michelangelo, I'd like you to meet my daughter, Casey Marie Jones. And this is the purple chick that saved him.
Which this part threw old Mirage me for a loop, because I expected that to be Shadow, who is their... I have to go back and read it again, because I think Shadow was their adopted daughter. They lost their first kid, and this was the daughter of somebody that Casey had picked up on the road, kind of dealing with that morning. It was completely somebody else's kid, but they fully adopted her into the Turtle family, extended when he got back to New York. So there's this Shadow character, lady, Shadow person, who ends up being kind of like this daughter figure. But now we have the actual daughter, the physical daughter of Casey here.
And I think that plays out so much better here. Yeah. Like, it's one thing to bring Venus back, and that's fine because she's a wholly separate character and whatever, but like the connections, the fact that Casey and April got married in this and this, that, you had to have the connections.
And also, with that reference there, I think that was the character of Shadow came in after Eastman had left the book. That was kind of volume 2, or 2.5, somewhere in there, where they were going on. And so maybe she didn't exist in the original outline that Eastman and Laird had laid out many, many years ago. But while I mentioned that, Peter Laird's name is on the book. And I know a lot of people said, I'm finally reading this series because Pete's back, and he's, I like the books that he wrote and haven't really cared for IDW, but I'm glad he's back on because he changes the tone. And, now I don't know, because I haven't asked and I don't intend to ask, but I really don't think Pete had anything to do with this book except to say, when Kevin approached him and said, hey, you remember that old story outline we did? Can we you think we could use that and make it into a story? And Pete said, yeah, sure, go ahead, I don't care. And that was the extent of his contribution to The Last Ronin.
So I've gone all the way back to the front.
Yep.
And the only credit that Peter Laird has is the story by credit.
Yep.
He has his story by is Eastman, Laird, and Waltz. Script is done by Kevin and Tom.
Yep.
So the only thing, look, I love the fact that, hey, look, Kevin approached him. Kevin was like, hey, can we do this? Can we this? Can we that? Can we whatever? Let's, bury the hatchet. Let's, whatever we're going to do and figure it out so it can be an Eastman and Laird thing again.
Yep.
That's all it is.
That's
the rest
all
of
it needs to be.
The rest of it, and honestly, so and again, correct me if I'm wrong, they both wrote it and they both did art on the original series, right? When they
both
created
wrote
it?
Both, yep, they traded pages back and forth. Their stuff is all over everything.
So I have never, as I've said already in this episode, and I say in every episode, I've never read it. I've only ever, in the last 10 years, been reading the IDW stuff. So I either hear Tom's voice in my head or I hear Kevin's voice in my head because I've heard several interviews with Kevin since we started this. I would love to get Mr. Eastman on this podcast to get an interview with him to talk about this and everything else Turtles at some point. Who knows if that'll ever happen, but I have this isn't me, as let's say in 1989, I found an issue of Mirage Comics written by Peter Laird, and hearing, it's just a story credit to me. Mm-hmm. I don't disregard his contribution. I don't disregard that, he's the co-creator. I'm not trying to be negative about this at all. I'm just saying, I hear Kevin's voice in this, in all these characters. I hear Tom's voice in all these characters. I don't know what Peter's voice would sound like with these characters in this book.
Yeah, I think, you know what, if you want to, I think that the closest we could really get to hearing from what Peter's voice sounds like is to listen to the 4Kids TV version of Ninja Turtles. That was
the 2003 version, you mean?
Yep. He had his hand on the pulse of that the whole time he was contributing. And guiding it.
And I like that show, and it's funny because last month for my birthday, I finally pulled the trigger, and I got the complete DVD series of that show because it is not streaming anywhere other than, I think, whatever CBS app it's on or whatever. But it's not on Paramount Plus. It's not anywhere. So when they announced that, hey, the complete DVD 2000, I'm like, yep.
Yes, please.
Yes, please. Just give it to me. Feed it into my brains.
Yeah, I have not watched that series much at all, and I definitely need to.
We will. I'll make you go buy it after this podcast. All right, where are we? Okay, so we're back to...
Sorry for the tangent, but it was worth it.
No, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so we get to the final scene here with Casey, April, and Mikey. And the end of this is, like I said, lots of catching up to do. We then go to the tower, and we go to Hiroto, and he is basically telling his soldiers to attack him, to do this to him, to give him a challenge. And then we get, let's see, where is it? So they're giving him a challenge here. Excellent strike. Almost masterful. Unfortunately for you, there's only one master. God.
A very arrogant, Saki thing to do, training with his guys. And, I'm just going to punish my own people.
Yep. By kicking the living shit out of all of them. So he goes on to leave, and he's talking to his captain, and the creature is perfectly skilled in the shadows, no doubt, which means a shift in the tactics is in order, dear captain. A shift, master? Yes, I want all our troops engaged in a full crackdown. So he's implementing martial law, is what he's going to do. And we don't know how, we don't know whatever, but somehow this Hiroto is in charge of the entire city, and the police have nothing to do with it, apparently. And this is where we get to Casey and April and Mikey, and she's telling him about the rock bottom and the 3 levels of the city, and so that's interesting. And I love that she wants to learn from him because she's learning all these other things.
Mm-hmm. Casey, this young daughter, Casey, has never known the turtles growing up, and has only heard about them from stories from April and maybe from a few other people. And so they're like legendary in her head. She's elevated them to that mythical status. But now here's this giant 250-pound muscle-bound turtle who she wants to learn from.
Yep. Absolutely. And I like this. I like that out of all of them, the 4 of them, since he's the only one left, Mikey has to take on the role of sensei. I love that.
Of all of them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because Leo kind of always was, obviously, if Master Splinter's not around, and Raph's too hot-headed most of the time. But I just love this. I love this whole relationship, this sensei-student relationship, where she picks up the book and, something like that. It was my father's. And can I ask you a question? Where have you been all this time? Yeah, that. After all the bad stuff that happened, it was too much to handle, so I just started walking.
Flashback.
Yup. I've said.
And then we get to. Is this the first time that we've seen the Kevin Eastman flashback?
Yes.
Yep. So as we're going through where Mikey went, Mikey's wandering. He's headed to Japan to meet with the Hamato clan's origins.
Yep.
It's all done in a very original Ninja Turtles style, black and white.
Yep. The only color we have is Mikey's monologue.
Which I can't believe I missed out realizing that was orange. It's like I was completely colorblind to that.
Yeah, I mean, so if you look at stop scrolling there, do your damn thing right. So when it starts, from the page where after all the bad stuff, that's the main art, it goes to the flashback. I just started walking. It's not the normal Mikey, I don't know which multiple variation of orange you want to call it, but it's not a normal. It's not like a Skittles orange or an M&M.
It's a sherbet orange.
It's very. There you go.
Frostbitten in the freezer, frozen sherbet orange.
It's sherbet orange. Absolutely, it is. And I'm gonna go
push
find
a picture. Orange.
I'm gonna go find a picture.
I can taste
of orange.
it now.
Yep.
I didn't realize it was a color before. Now I can taste it.
Yep. I just love it when you can eat colors, folks. I'm gonna now go get a screenshot of orange sherbet and put it in the post because you're absolutely right. And I love this. I love looking at these pages, at the art and where he's going, but I love being able to read the story in the orange sherbet and how, like, first time my entire life that I've have I loved Kevin Eastman's covers that he's done over the last 2011, so just 14 years, whatever it is that IDW's had the license for this, whatever. Have I loved his covers? Yes. Do I like his art style? Yes. But this is the first time where the Kevin Eastman art style inside of a book actually mattered to me.
And it's the duo shade, man. It's this duotone paper. And as I'm looking at this, now I'm a huge duo shade nerd. Like, I love the stuff. I got a commission from Jim Lawson on duo shade, and I didn't know it when I got it, and I don't know why he did it. But it's one of the last sheets of duo shade that he had, And that was when I learned that this stuff was disappearing. The company who made it went under and stopped making it. They sold all of their remaining stock to Mirage, who distributed it to the people in their circle who wanted it. And Eastman mentioned at a convention before, I heard him mention at a convention before Last Ronin that he was down to his last few sheets of it. And he had given some to Ben Bishop, who posted art working on it. And because I'm a nerd, I'm going to go into it. It's a white sheet of paper, and it comes with 2 bottles of this photographic chemical. And you dip a brush into the first chemical, and you paint it where you want these little lines to show up, and they appear. They kind of appear out of the paper. If you take the second bottle and you dip and you brush over the same area, it reveals little diagonal lines going the other direction. So you can get white, you can get the light shade, the dark shade, and then you can get black from your inks. Yep. So you have these 4 tones that show up. And it was because Mirage was the only people using it. I mean, it was a graphic design tool from the 60s and 70s and probably even before that. But Mirage was the last people using it. And I wondered if by the time this book came out in the 2020s that it was all gone and that there wasn't any of it anymore. And I'm looking at this first panel. I just started walking, that little insert. Yep. The white outline around that border is a very Kevin Eastman thing to do, where he takes white paint marker and highlights things. Yep. And I can see around the outside that he drew that marker over the duo shade, and you can just barely see the duo shade showing through the paint marker. Yep. That little artifact leads me to believe that this was actually done on real duo shade. Yeah, which is incredible. Which means he had a good number of these pages left, and that he did it on duo shade, and that that almost chokes me up because I love it. I went so far as to recreate duo shade as a Photoshop layer mask. Yep. And I've sent it to IDW and I've sent it to the Mirage people saying, here, I made this. It's to scale. It's the right color. Use it. And but here is probably what we're going to see as the last duo shade art. Yeah, I'm going to ask the next time I see one of these people if this was really duo shade. I'm going to say that it probably is.
Yeah, and if it isn't, folks, just email us feedback@geekcastradio.com and let us know. But this is, again, going from the real, I don't want to say the real, the regular, the main art of the story into a flashback. This is completely different. This is why I love when different artists do flashbacks, because you get a clear sense. Like the time before this was the how the turtles all ended up where they are in the post-apocalyptic thing. This is Kevin Eastman and Tom Waltz getting to tell Mikey's story and getting to have him remember of where he's been all this time when they found him, and I absolutely love it. And I love that it gets darker. Like, we start out with the light side with so I just started walking. It gets a little bit lighter, and then it gets darker and darker, and then we go back to the main section of art. And it's so good. And yeah, so we have Mikey's whole journey. We get back to him telling Casey, to complete my master's mission, kill the last Oroko. And this last page, what's it mean?
Swipe, and he takes it out of her hand. It said, no peace. N-O, nope, there will be no peace, is what the last page of Splinter's journal says. That I think obviously Mikey wrote that in there.
Yeah, probably. And so we get lip from KC to Mikey, and I love this. Well, too bad, because I wasn't asking, you wouldn't even be standing here if it wasn't for us. We got trouble coming now that you've stirred things up, so if you don't want to help taking out Hiroto, then stand in line. Wait. If you don't want help taking over, then stand in line. And he just says, what's so funny? Just trying to decide if you're more like your dad or your mom.
What a great line.
Yeah, what a great line. And then obviously we get back to I love how that fade out is where she clearly looks like she's a female version, but like the black hair, the attitude, it's clearly Casey, obviously.
Yep.
And then you see, it's your dad or your mom. You see April. So good. So very good. And then April pulls out the Fugitoid head. What?
Who played a much bigger part in the original comic than he has in most of the series. So it was really neat to see him come back in this.
Yeah, it was awesome. Very, very awesome. All right, we're 2 parts down. What do you think?
Like every time I reread something that I read a long time ago and read it before the podcast, it grows on me so much more. It's definitely worth going back in once and then twice for that deeper look, because it just gets better.
Absolutely. All right, folks, that's the first 2 issues. We're going to go to a quick ad break, and we'll come back with issue 3 right after this.
Hello, geeks and geekettes! Looking for a podcast that covers a vast array of topics? Then check out Altered Geek Unleashed, where we discuss our thoughts on this week's geeky news, tech, gaming, television shows, movies, cartoons, comics, and more. So, get altered, get geeky with the Altered Geeks, every Friday on the Geekcast Radio Network.
Because the world needs another movie podcast.
The Geekcast Radio Network presents for your listening pleasure the Cinema Geek.
Hosted by Amanda, Kevin, Matt, and Dan.
Each week we dive headfirst in the landscape of movies as we discuss movie news, play movie games,
go in-depth on reviews,
and even have a top 10 countdown or 2.
Also, don't miss our director retrospective series, where we review noted directors' movies film by film. Bottom line is, if you love movies and love podcasts, you need to experience the Cinema Geeks.
You can find us on iTunes, Blog Talk Radio, or GeekCastRadio.com.
Hey Jared, I have this idea for a new show for the network.
What is it?
You know how I liked the 1990s comic book series, The New Warriors?
Yes. Yep.
And you know how at the Long Box Crusade we're trying to get the YouTube channel going?
Yes, also correct.
Well, thanks. So, how about you and me do a live stream show about the New Warriors? You've never read the books before, and I have them, and so that's a great setup. We could give it a catchy name like Come Out to Play. Don't you think that's the greatest idea?
Sure, Delvin. That's a great idea. Just one question.
Yeah?
Why do you have me dangling off this ledge, holding me by only one arm?
Oh, yeah. Well, you'll get it soon. I hope. Come Out to Play, a New Warriors podcast, comes to you live on YouTube every second Tuesday of the month at 8 p.m. Eastern on the Longbox Crusade channel. If you can't watch it there, we replay them on the Longbox Crusade Network podcast feed, available anywhere podcasts can be found. We invite you to come along for the ride, or in other words, New Warriors, come out to play.
Welcome to the Last Comic Shop Podcast, a comic book podcast that actually talks about comics.
Yep, each week we open the shop up and read and discuss a comic.
Sometimes we pair that up with comic book movies or TV shows.
Or not. Lots of times it's just comic books and sound effects.
Oh, yes, definitely lots of sound effects. So tune in on all the major podcasting platforms to the Last Comic Shop Podcast, or check out our library of evergreen shows at www.lastcomicshoppodcast.com.
All right, folks. Hope you enjoyed that long commercial break. We are back with TMNT, The Last Ronin from IDW Publishing. Oh, boy. Issue 3. Here we go. Part 3, The Last Ronin. Fight or flee, fight or flight. That's what it said. Oh boy, I was going to say fight or flee. I'm not awake, folks. And I'm not ashamed of telling you people that this part of the rest of this episode is being recorded very early in the morning, and two different time people's things. But we open with Oroko, Hiruto, and the Foot Clan. And again, as we've been saying so far, the colors, man. Like, just the difference in colors. Like, from, like, the previous issue with April at the end with Fugitoid's head, with the wherever she is, to the dojo or tower or wherever they are in the beginning of 3. Holy crap. So good.
Yep, I think they're signaling another flashback. This is Hiruto probably in Japan inheriting leadership of the Foot Clan.
Yep,
as he's finally come of age.
Yep, and I love how, and I didn't think that they wouldn't do this, but I love how they constantly do the, let's go back to the Clan Hamato and the Foot Clan in Japan. Because they didn't do that a lot in the cartoon, obviously.
Yeah, and they never explained why it looked like feudal Japan in the cartoon, but then it's modern-day New York.
Yeah.
Which is okay. I was not asking that question as a child.
Yeah, no, nobody was. We just
all of Japan looks like that, doesn't it?
I wouldn't say that.
No. As an ignorant child, that may have been how I excused it.
Okay. Oh boy. So he's getting the promotion to be the Foot Clan leader, and then we go into the present where he is now. And what do you think of his design here? Because so far, I think we've only seen him shirtless. We now see him in the Foot Clan robe or dojo kimoto or whatever the hell it is. I don't know.
This must be some kind of futuristic fashion statement here with the red paint on the eyes and I think that may be just like a modern interpretation of a kimono kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like but this is what it's going to look like in the future, guys.
Yeah. But do you see how the kimono is designed with the shredder claw? It looks like a claw. It looks like the
it's four slashes red across his chest.
Yeah. Well, he's got 4 slashes. I'm surprised they're not Oh, you bastards. 4 slashes across his chest, and they're all red.
Yeah.
Got it. Oh, Tom Waltz, Kevin Eastman, and all the artists. Holy crap. Gotcha. But to me, at first, it looked like just like an homage to Shredder's, his gauntlets, his can opener hands.
Yeah.
Do you still have that?
Yeah, it's sitting on the shelf right there.
Wow. That's awesome. You should take a new picture of that. I got to see if I can find the old picture. You sent me an old picture of it when you first made it 10 years ago, I think. So Hiruto is about to address the people. Oh, boy. And this is where he institutes martial law. And I do love how we get all of the various people in New York, it's not just one. It's so like the panel where he says, tonight and until further notice, the entire city will be under blah, blah, blah. And you see all these varying types of people from different races and ethnicities and everything else. I absolutely love that. And then when we get to martial law, it's foot robots. I want a foot robot.
A couple of these things have been made into toys. Like we've got a few different versions of Mikey as the Last Ronin, and they've released or are releasing the Last Ronin versions of the 4 before they kick it.
Nice.
It would not surprise me if we got a Hiruto and maybe some of these foot robots too. There's like a Ninja Turtle action figure renaissance going on right now. It is
Dude, it's the 40th anniversary.
Yeah.
There better be a renaissance going on right now.
I don't have that much money, man. I have to be very picky and choosy.
I don't know where it is, but somewhere in here, I have a Funko Soda Last Ronin figure. Because Funko, between their Funko Pops and Funko Sodas, they have done a Last Ronin figure, but I don't know where he went. He went somewhere. I will probably have him by the end of the show after we go through whatever next ad break we go through. And so we get this, and we get Your Master Has Spoken, and we get down to the street, and I don't think that's a cop, but I don't know who. Man, this got real bad real fast. Yeah, and
they're just wiping people off the streets and.
Yeah, but I don't like. Let me zoom in on this. No, it's just okay. It's just a normal. It's two normal guys. At first, the guy on the left, the bandana he's wearing or whatever he's got around his head, I thought it was like because my grandfather on my dad's side, who's been long gone for now, but he was gone before I was even born. He was a police officer. And I always remember the police hat that the policemen always wear when they're in their dress. This guy isn't in dress blues, obviously, but just the bandana made me think of the old policeman hat. So I was like, hey, no, it's just two regular guys. It's not just two regular guys. It's Casey's crew. It's two of her crew members. That's who it is. Because the next panel, we need to get to Jones ASAP. Yep. That's yep.
Oh, yep, I see it.
Yep. And we get to Mikey, and we get to the end of the book, No Peace. And one of the imaginary ghost turtles. There we go, ghost. Somebody call Casper. Oh man. Did you notice this? I didn't notice this when I was reading it at first. They all have black bandanas on. The three of them.
I wonder, they've had color bandanas at times. I wonder if this is to imply that they're in the shadows, or just maybe a different colorist handled this page. But it is in this instance, it is definitely symbolic of the fact that they are
no longer
gone
here
and with him at the same time, kind of.
Yep. And I love how in Mikey's head, the three of them can have a conversation about Casey Marie, book smart and street smart, tough too. She's gonna help. She's gonna be good in the fight with Hiroto. Ain't that right, Mike? And he's so transfixed on Splinter's book that he's not even listening to the hallucinations in his head of his dead brothers.
Yeah.
Which, again, it just is a complete and utter testament to the writing of how these between all of it, just so good. I love the argument here, though, about Casey. Good call. She can't be more than 17 years old, 16, and already tangling with the Foot Clan. Sound familiar?
Yeah, it's like she is already just like them, that they got wrapped up in somebody else's war.
Yep. And this very next panel where they're talking, they go back to the classic design of Donnie's got the goggles on with the purple, Raph in the red, and Leo in the blue. So it changes from panel to panel with how Mikey's envisioning them. I still like to think, even though it's more, like you said, it's more symbolic of them not being here, I still like to think every time there's a black bandana, it's because on them, on the three that are not here with us, it's a Slash reference, but that's just me. So we get that, and we get Donnie saying, applies to oranges, apples to oranges, Mikey. We trained our entire lives, and she ain't a mutant, bro. She's just a kid. Casey and April's kid. And we're Splinter's kids, and Karai was Shredder's, and Hiroto's was hers, and here we all are, back to square one, back to the dark. Hi. And here comes Casey. She comes in, and they have a conversation, and
Well, just like April in a number of iterations, she has her own will.
Yeah.
Like no, I'm going to fight this fight. Nothing you can do to stop me. And
Oh, yeah.
Mikey's trying to save her from the fate of being a child soldier.
Absolutely. She gives him directions to April's lab. Straight ahead and to the left. Mom's in her lab. Kid thinks she knows everything. Smart-ass, stubborn little. And she's way too damn young to be that old. Hey, when you see stuff, man. Mm-hmm. Sigh. Same as it ever was. And he goes into April's lab, and she has kind of, sort of rebuilt Fugitoid.
Yeah, she's jacking into his brain.
Oh, no, okay, yeah. She's around. Yeah, she's, okay. The table that she has him on, has his head on, looks more like, for half a second there, I thought this was going to be some sort of metal head, head body situation, but no, it's just a table that she has the head on. And yeah, that we get to, so they, they're having the conversation here, and he says, I think it's time we got busy with that catching up you keep talking about, April. Yeah, me too. And we get to
flashback
with Fugitoid. And wow. Ooh, everybody's alive.
Except for Raph, because Raph went first.
Oh, right.
But looks like they're setting up a distraction strike extraction. The Foot Clan has promised a truce, because Hiroto says, yep, this war, it's time to end. We've both lost people. And so he invites the truce. Donnie and Splinter need to get out of the city, which has been locked down. And Fugitoid is helping them set up the ship, to cloak it, to get out, to create a distraction, because Baxter is back.
Yes, Baxter. Baxter is back, all right.
Oh, gosh. Giancarlo Esposito as Baxter in...
Oh, yes.
I just wish he would have gotten more screen time and that we could have seen that Baxter, but very cool.
Was that in the 2014 one?
That's the new one.
Mutant Mayhem. Okay. Yep. Oh, he voiced that's right. I was thinking, never mind. I was thinking live action, but okay.
Tyler Perry?
No.
No.
Wrong casting.
Didn't happen.
No. So we have the turtles trying to sneak around, and they get ambushed. We got movement on. Oh no. Here we go. Fight time. We're under attack. Idiots. Less than 30 seconds to compromise the entire mission.
Yeah, I'm a little lost as to what people's motives are here, but Baxter he's in charge of the power for the whole island, or he's
right.
On.
So, from what I remember, just based on from what I read it, he has, I don't think it's called Burnow Island in this, but let's just say it is. He has the island, and he is giving power to the entire city to help Hiroto control the entire city. So basically, he works for he works for Isaki again. Damn, how'd they find us? Fugitoid's head, maybe? Or Fugitoid himself? Not necessarily his head, because he has his whole body currently. So yeah. So the turtles are talking about how they're going to deal with this and all this and all that. And I love this art. This art is... Casey looks so good.
Ben Bishop.
Yep, Ben Bishop, dude. Got to get him on. I've been trying for years to get him on the podcast. Maybe I haven't asked directly enough, but maybe I should start after this, because holy crap.
Yeah, he's kind of the I don't know, he's been adopted by all these different aspects of the Ninja Turtle world. He's illustrating the book. Kevin Eastman has him doing so many different series. He works with Peter Laird and shows up at conventions where Peter's at.
Yep.
And I love every once in a while he'll post a picture on his Facebook of a child, him sleeping on a Ninja Turtle sleeping bag, and like he is us growing
absolutely.
up, and he's worked himself in and practiced and applied and succeeded in building himself to be somebody that is worthy of being in with the group, and it's just so cool.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And not to mention his own stuff is really awesome too.
Yeah. Like I said, we will figure out a way to do the aggregate at some point.
I think he's going to the convention I'm going to in April, and I will definitely say, hey, I do this thing. You want to?
Yeah, we want to interview you. And so we see them making all these plans. We see the battle that they're doing, and then, like I said, we see Casey, and the next week we see Leo. Casey, about that backup, hurry! I just love it. Nasty looking buggers. Yeah, I told you. Guys, the Foot Clan are nothing but liars.
Yeah, because they're supposed to have a truce, but now here they are not letting them off the island.
Exactly. Yep. This is
Manhattan Island, I suppose. Yeah, the Baxter's on Staten Island, where the power plant is.
Okay, it's Staten Island. That makes
not Staten. Oh golly, it's the island between. It's in the middle of the river on the east
whichever
side.
One it is.
I can't remember. They mention it.
Yep.
We'll see it eventually.
Yep.
Baxter's really the one trying to keep them
on the island.
Yeah, from leaving. Maybe that was the plan so that it didn't look like the Foot Clan was keeping them on the island.
Yeah. We get to the panel where Leo and Casey are on the roof, which I'm like, I get it, it's Leo, he's the leader, but I don't know, roofs and Casey, I always think of Casey and Raph, not Leo and Casey, but here we are. Leo's like, what the hell are those things? They can't be human. And Casey, in true Casey fashion, let's find out. The class is paying 101 and your instructor is Casey, no! And we get the Goongala, so we got the Casey references in. I think the only thing, I don't know, we'll get to it if it even, I think the only thing that isn't in this that I didn't notice was a 4. Because I don't think he uses a golf club at any point.
Nope. The hockey stick breaks on this elite foot robot.
Yep.
So he upgrades to the cricket bat.
Yep.
Which also doesn't work.
Nope.
And then he brings out the sledgehammer, which actually does its job.
Yeah. Well,
what sport is that in?
Cricket? You gotta know what a crumpet is to understand cricket. I'll teach you. Oh boy. So we get to good old Baxter just yelling at people, imbeciles, send in the mousers now, all of them. These are not normal mousers. These are upgrades, I think.
Yeah, little flying mouser heads.
Yeah, like off with your heads. Oh no, they're spider. Okay, I see now. Yeah, they're flying heads, but they turn into spider mouse. Oh, why you gotta be creepy like that? I can deal with mousers being rat-like, but spider-like, no thanks. And then Baxter blows everything up.
Yeah, this is where Donnie, Splinter, Mikey, April, and they're getting on the cloaked jet to leave.
Yep.
And Honeycutt says, no, let me help, as Leo and Casey are trying to, they're like Leo did in the last issue, he's covering the rear so that they can escape.
Yep.
And Baxter wants Fugitoid so he can access the technology. And I enjoyed the line. He says, I know you've come for me, Stockman, but I'll self-destruct before I let you hurt my friends or imprison me again. And he says, you shall not pass, the good Lord of the Rings reference.
Mm-hmm.
And
I can't have you, nobody will.
And then blows the place up. So that essentially takes out Honeycutt, Leo, and Casey.
And yeah, but look at okay, so we get the explosion, and the page before we get back to the current stuff, the closing page of the flashback. Holy crap! Leo's sword, Casey's mask, wow. Oh my God, so good. So we get to Casey Marie, and
present day Casey's crew reacting to there being martial law.
Yep. And she's running through the sewers she's running through the train station to get to them and everything else. So we get to a panel where she's running, everyone underground now. We see the foot robots. Halt, stop, and be identified. I had visions of Tron in my head with that, because it's like the Tron guards at the end of Tron Legacy, where they're like, present your identification, and Jeff Bridges just hits the guy in his helmet, like, you will let me pass. Like, okay, very good, sir. And I love how they're doing this various different thing. Everyone underground, everyone else over the top. And they're like, we'll meet at the place in an hour. Do we even have an hour? So she's running through the sewers. She gets to the streets. Halt, crap. Stand and be identified. Help, someone help, foot bastard. Identify this. Yeah. Mm-hmm. If you're going to create a character that's the spawn of Casey and April, this is the way to write her.
Yeah, I wish we would get more with her. Like, I actually find her interesting. But, when you can create a new Ninja Turtle character and make us appreciate them, like, good job, good writing, because we're hard to please.
Well, I don't know. So far, in 10 years, there hasn't been many negatives that we've pointed out.
Yeah, if anybody
we're usually just sitting here gushing over everything that they've given us. So, but she's doing her ninja thing, and more robots show up. I don't got time for this crap. Get out of here. I'll take care of these two. Scumbags. Whoa, man. And of course, we get Bleecker and Sullivan. So there's the 11th and Bleecker, or not 11th and Bleecker, but there's the Bleecker Street sign. I really gotta get back to Mom. Ow! Seriously? Just hurry up. I hate needles. And stop squirming. I only need a few more vials.
Leaving him dry.
Mm-hmm. Well, Mikey's just like me. I do not do needles whatsoever.
I donated plasma for a while, and it's awful the first couple of times. Then I stopped caring. Yes, stab me. Go get your trainee. Have a practice.
Yeah, and I love that it's April and Mikey, and he's complaining, and I get that you scientists can't help poking and prodding everything, but am I going to have any blood left after this? What are you, 5 years old? It's barely any blood. I need to see what your advanced mutation is doing to your body, but I can get you a lollipop when I'm done if that helps. Whatever, just hurry up. And let's see, we get to, so how badly damaged is the Fugitoid? Is Honeycutt still in there? I don't know, I think so. I hope so. And she's like, I'm just pretty sure that once we turn him on, Stockman will find us immediately, just like last time.
Mm-hmm.
And Mikey asks her, April, after the explosion, how did I end up here? Didn't happen overnight, that's for sure. After the smoke cleared, a rescue team pulled me out of the rubble and got me to the hospital. And we go back to classic Eastman and Laird colorings with this flashback. This, to me, just like the last one, is super interesting because, again, you're showing a different set of... So the first flashback that they used, the Kevin and Peter coloring, the black and white, what did you call it?
Duo shade,
was when Mikey was telling his story of where he went, blah, blah, blah. So that's what I love about this, is that every part of each flashback is so different that it stands out. And so we get April's flashback here, where she found out she was pregnant and ended up staying in the hospital a long time, physical and mental therapy. She hears news of the, wait, what is this? Hold on. What's that panel there? Meanwhile, Hiroto and the Foot were taking control of New York. This is
where they put up the wall. Keeping everybody in.
Keeping everybody in, yep. When they finally discharged me, I had a shiny new arm and leg, and a shiny new baby to go along with them. Things were getting really bad in the city, so I moved us down into the lair. More like hit us, but it was okay. So we get a nice shot as she's talking about that. We get a nice shot of Casey in the duo shade style, and then we get the photo of them all with the store destroyed and everyone gone. It was all I had left to remind me of. Well, okay, all done. So how did you get Fugitoid's head? Some of Leo and Casey's strike team who weren't killed in the battle recovered it. That's a lot of blood. That's six vials?
That's not normal.
And it's black blood. It's not red, but which, again, like to your point earlier about how graphic this is and it's showing blood and everything else, that's black. That's not red. So I guess that's a way they got around the whole violent. And technically, she's not beating. She's being a nurse to him. But I don't know. It's just.
Yeah, I think it's blood's really, really dark when it's like that. When you cut your finger, it looks bright red. But I think if you're muting all of your colors to make it look like a certain lighting, it's probably going to look black. That's my my hypothesis.
Yep. And she asks him, but she didn't say how the hell you got all the way over there. In a fog, mostly. Last thing I remember clearly was trying to get to you and the Fugitoid to safety. And then we get more of Mikey's flashback, which is just amazing. 40 years, folks. I never thought I would say it, because I was never into this wasn't my art, but him going into the sewer, him looking at Donnie's monitors, him looking at the weapons. So I grabbed some things from the layers, weapons and other stuff, and stowed away on a plane to Japan. Yep, the journal. Stowed away on a plane to Japan as fast as I could. I was hoping I could reach them in time. I just didn't know what else to do. We get to, what does April say here? She says, I think I know how to beat Hiroto. And Mikey just looks at her with a scrunchy face on his, just his face is all scrunched up. And out of the back there, well, then you need to show us right now, Mom, because all hell's breaking loose in Rock Bottom. Dun, dun, dun. And we go back to Hiroto.
Every time we see him, he looks different.
Yep. We're only in the 3rd issue of 5, folks, and he's going to have plenty more looks as we go along.
This whole scene here, he's up on the tippy top of his building, I'm assuming, having himself a little villain monologue.
Yep.
And he's freaking out.
Mm-hmm. I give them orders, and still they whine and protest, and I have been far too indulgent. The fools forge who rules all here. The fools forget. Wow, I can't read this. Oh, God, I can't read today. Who's very will. Well, yeah, but I am their God incarnate, God made flesh. Flesh and blood, I am their master.
What we don't ever get from his character is seeing how he went from being the guy who gets inducted into the Foot Clan leadership, sheathes the sword and said this war is over, to the person who's trying to break the truce, to this guy who's turned into full maniac. He had some kind of descent into madness that we didn't get to see.
Yep.
Oh, unless this was who he was the whole time and everything else was an act, but we don't get that answer.
We don't get that either, yeah. And yeah, you're right. His design changes all the time from whatever to whatever, and I think it's because it's a way for the artists to homage every single version of Shredder that there ever has been, because he's wearing a purple cape here.
Yeah, shirtless, purple cape, just like the action figure.
The hood, yep. Yep. And then later, oh boy. Whew. Oh, that 2003 reference later. Jesus. So good. He's like, I will rise. He's just going nuts.
Yeah. He's up there leaping around, talking about how good he is, but then he falls off.
Yep.
His tower trips and falls. And he doesn't seem to care. He's laughing as these robot arms come out to grab and save him.
Yep. And we get back to Mikey and Casey and April and all that. And Mikey's like, you're crazy. More like our only shot, Mikey. There's way too many variables. I love Casey. April, I love every plan, no matter the odds, has risks. You know that. At least these are better odds than 100-year-old mutant attacking Hiroto directly, Casey yells at him. This isn't about permission. It's about reality. Do you all have a death wish or what? Look who's talking. And we were dying before you got here. You just made it worse. Enough. Yeah. April's still definitely the mom. Come with me, Mikey. There's something else you need to see. April, they're just kids. You need to let me do my own thing. Just humor me, okay? Fine, but I won't change my mind. I love how stubborn, okay, it's Mikey. We know it's Mikey, and from the scene earlier with her and him, with her taking his blood and him acting like a 5-year-old, to now where he's practically Raph. Oh my God, this writing is so good. It's just
Mikey's
so
dead.
good.
Dead. He's no longer Mikey in this, and he became that kind of out of madness. Really, I think.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, he was always I guess in certain iterations, he was always questioning their feud with Orokosaki, and like, why don't we just kind of go over here and get away? Why do we got to fight? Why do we people we know are getting hurt? But then he's just lost everything, and now he's the one that, all right, yep, that's it. Let's kill everybody, and nobody else has to do anything. I got it.
Yep, absolutely. And I think the reason why he's taking that on is not because he wants to be like his known brothers who are known. He doesn't want to be Raph. He wants to be himself, but what the part of him that wants to be himself is, the reason why he's saying nobody else needs to die, I've got this, is because he doesn't want to lose anybody else. Everybody has lost so much already in this series. Like, he's trying to do so others don't have to. So what she has to show him is a green version of the Tumbler from 2005. It's Batman's Batmobile.
I kind of wish that scene right here would have been like a tour through, like the Batcave with all of the different Batmobiles.
Yeah, unfortunately, this panel isn't big enough, and then
it's not big enough.
Yeah, it's not big enough, and then they jump to now. So, but yeah, that would have been so cool to see the turtle van, the turtle blimp, the turtle cycle. Did they have to? They had turtle cycles.
In every version of the turtle van, the shell razor, the little beetle, the little bus.
Yep. All of it. Yep.
I'd even take the garbage truck from the movie. The bad movie. That doesn't count.
Yeah, I know which. I know. I knew you were talking about the bad one because the only time we saw a garbage truck in the first movie is when Shredder went. When Casey pulled the lever. Oops.
He just straight up murdered the Shredder.
Not really. He murdered his helmet, but yeah. So we get to now. April, this is Mike. Are you in position yet? Mike, April. Damn it. Told you guys this is going to be a bad idea. And Casey here kind of looks like a combination between Nightwing and Angel. Because her suit is all black. And nobody. Because her suit is all black and purple. But I swear that domino mask reminds me so much more of Nightwing than it does Nobody. Because I think, didn't Angel have a helmet?
Yeah, Angel had a helmet, and the old school Nobody was a full head mask.
Right, yeah. Which I liked. I'm not saying anything against this. I like this. Hello, it reminds me of one of my favorite comics characters. Mm-hmm. Yes, please. That's fine. So here comes the security. So they go fighting. And we see Mikey's monologue, easy, too easy. Don't get cocky, Mike. So I love that he's still talking to himself. What the holy hell? Some of these designs, man, like you said earlier, like we need toys of all of this because some of these things are really cool.
It is kind of neat on these pages where they're attacking Stockman's Island. Yep. And all these robots are coming out, that there are little visual cues in the robot shapes and the masses that look like Peter Laird's old robots that he was drawing in the Archie series covers. I'm thinking like the shark piloted a mech on the cover, and Laird drew that cover. And he liked those little kind of metallic crater-shaped discs, like what's on the ear, on Stockman's ear, or on the robot's chests later. That's a very Laird thing to do. So I wonder if that was deliberate. I'm going to pretend that it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we always pretend that everything is deliberate with the IDW Turtles. Like, it doesn't matter which Turtles version it is. If they're doing something that we think it's referencing something, we're always going to assume.
Because, somebody loved it as much as I did and is doing it for the same reasons that I would.
And I love this final panel here at the end of this battle with her, with the Mouser's head in her hand. I thought I told you to stay put. You did. I didn't. Terrible discipline. Excellent initiative. Don't do it again. Understood? Yes, Sensei. And we get a flashback to, yes, Sensei, I'm learning. To then, with Casey doing her decent technique, but she's developed some bad habits. And so it's Mikey watching her. And then this is kind of where they start sparring, but this again throughout all this entire series, folks. Like we've said, Mikey is who he is, who he's always been, but certain parts of the other brothers take over his personality at times because of what has happened to him. But this whole scene here. It's like Leo, Splinter, and Mikey with the comedy all in one. Like, hit me as hard as you can. Now, what? What? Figures? Nothing but a child pretending to be a warrior. Child? She goes to, good thing you yelled first, or I might have completely caught me off guard. Dodge this. Yawn. So this is the Mikey part. Dodge this. Yawn. Your legs are weak and slow, but not as slow as your fists. What? Which allowed me all the time in the world to do that. I wouldn't get up if I were you. Yeah, right. You were warned. Looks like we have a plan this time. Okay. White belt quality kick.
I think this is where Mikey realizes, I'm looking for the line, but I think this is where he realized that Casey is stronger and faster than a regular human.
Yep.
And he confronts April about it.
Yeah, it's coming up here. That move only works in the movies or on people without training. This is neither. You're wasting energy running on fumes. Very tired. And you're done. Never! Take it easy on the bricks. They're pretty old. You would know. What was that? Okay, ow, okay, I give. That's not the point to give up. Even the greatest of warriors can't punch their way out of every confrontation. Sometimes it pays to be subtle, fluid, evasive. Avoid
Mikey,
strikes
as he's tried 2 full frontal assaults on...
Yes, well, you know... yeah, I guess. And, the hug at the end, I love that. Right.
You're going to train me, yes.
Okay, you're going to train me, yes. All right, first lesson tomorrow. And this is where we get Mikey and April again. Sensei, April, how long were you watching? Long enough. I'm sorry, I hope I didn't overstep. Time is always short, life is short. What you just did, it's more than I could have hoped for. Splinter was there for all his sons, all of us, everyone. He thought of us as family. Until the very end, Casey Marie's only had me, and I can only do so much. She's tough, has her dad's courage, my brains, but she needs something more. And a place to direct her skills, soothe her anger, thank you. And speaking of Splinter, you never finished telling me what happened in Japan, Mikey. I need to know. I know I'm sorry, it still hurts so much, everything does. But your family, you should know. Once the plane landed in Japan, and we get back to the... Yep. So we get this, where Mikey's like, I ditched the cargo hold, snuck out as much as I could. When I saw lights in the distance, it was the first sign of life for miles, and I was praying they could help. I told them who I was, Michelangelo, son of Master Splinter of Clan Hamato. They just grunted and pointed to the village. Oh, boy. So, I am Master Shinichiro? I'm probably butchering that, but please.
No, that was good.
Okay, good. Sound like a butcher to me, but please follow me. We will speak further inside. And Mikey basically finds out that they're not there. Splinter's gone. And we get your father, Master Splinter, was all of these. So we get a nice line about Splinter, and then we go back to. Wait, is this?
This is another
flashback. So this is a flashback finding out what happened to what Clan Hamato in Japan.
Yep.
Oh man, these flashbacks. Seriously, so we have the Duo Shade flashback, which it's weird that the Mikey's inner monologue orange color, we called it sherbet earlier. The sherbet is interfering with my enjoyment of the actual art behind it, and I can't believe I'm saying that, but
there's a lot of monologue, and it's covering a lot of that.
Yeah. And then we get this flashback, and then this flashback goes from dark to super. It's kind of like taking one of those newfangled, like a Samsung S24 Ultra right now. Oh, it can go from 1% brightness to 2,000 nits or whatever the hell they are nowadays. But yeah, so we get this flashback of Master Splinter and
it's also interesting to note that this is the first time that I can remember we've ever really seen a clan Hamato of humans.
Yes.
That's a substantial number.
Yes. This has to be the first time because most of the Turtles things are origin Japan. Saki kills Yoshi, kills Shen and Yoshi. Or no, he kills Shen. Yoshi then flees to America. Saki follows him. Yoshi finds Turtles. Turtles get mutated. Blah, 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 blah. And then we're all in modern day. We don't ever really go back to... And again, I need to go back, and I'm still working on my rewatch of the old 87 series, but I don't remember if we ever go back to the old Japan stuff in the 87 series, and I think they do some stuff with it in 2003, but I gotta catch up on all that.
I'm excited to hear how that is.
Yeah.
I watched it a little bit. I was in college at the time, so I was not paying that close of attention.
Yep. So like I said, we get this flashback, and you will call me Master Splinter. I call you Hellbound, where the rest of you and your revolting family awaits. Grand Warriors of the Foot Clan, attack! And that's right. This is just Splinter and Donnie. Really?
Yeah, where'd Mikey go?
Yeah, where's Mikey, Raph, and Leo?
Leo's dead.
Okay.
Raph's dead. This was... They were going back to the...
Right.
This was the peace treaty.
Right. Yes. This was the heroic... Okay, got it.
I see you came with weapons. We also came with weapons. Yeah, neither of us were supposed to. I guess that means we're not actually having a peace treaty, and then they attack.
Got it. Right. Yeah, but where's Mikey? Huh. Weird.
Yeah, I'm looking. He must have stayed back at the...
Yeah, wait a minute. Where'd he go?
Because he wasn't still in New York.
No. Because that's part of this is this is him telling the tale of the truce. And if it's him, Splinter, and Donnie, then they should all be there, unless Mikey's just watching. I don't know. But anyway, we get back to Mikey doing his duo shade part of the story.
I think Mikey got... I see. Mikey got separated somehow as they were traveling to Japan, and then he had to hoof it on foot to get there, and he
was too late, and he couldn't say... That's right. Yeah. Got it. And then we flash back to the present. As the last of my kind, a Ronin, that is, when I decided the feud must end, I would follow Father's journal, train, and complete the mission we were intended to from birth. All Uruku must perish. And if I had known you were alive, it might have been different, but the mission would still be the same. I'm sorry. Don't, Mikey, please. There's no way you could have known. And the rest, I understand what needs to be done. So, yeah.
Poor Mikey.
Yep.
Yeah, all the guilt of that last thing there too.
Yeah, absolutely. Here it is. You asked where it was.
Yeah.
Your design. What are you talking about? When were you going to tell me about Casey's extra abilities, April? Why would you keep that away from me? I wasn't keeping it away, not exactly. You didn't inject her, did you? Hell no. You know me better than that. I would never do that to my child. I've run thousands of tests since she was born, looking for the origin. As far as I can tell, trace amounts of the mutagen DNA were passed on from her birth parents, who happened to have nearly lifelong exposure to it from the company they kept. Wait, seriously? Us? We contaminated all of you? You didn't know. We all didn't know. Look, she's basically normal in all aspects other than strength and speed and her healing ability, all of which have increased with age, which is why I wanted samples of your blood. Does she know? She's aware she's different, but I haven't told her everything. Not yet, at least, but soon. Oh, she knows. She's a teenager. She knows. She's figured it out.
Yeah, she can tell.
Uh-huh. Yep. And we go back to the battle.
Yeah, that was like 3 flashbacks deep there for a second.
More like 7. It was probably only 3, but it felt like 7. Like, that's like 100 years in like 10 pages. Holy crap. So we get Mikey and Casey back at the battle. Follow Casey and throw everything you have for covering fire. Let's roll. Yeah, this is just so fun. It's so good, and I love the damn it airborne sitting ducks for the remaining gun towers. Stupid attack plan, stupid.
This was a terrible idea.
It's a terrible idea, terrible. This should help them get on the ground. Now to figure out how to keep this from becoming a complete massacre. I love his design. I love it all. Get down to the courtyard and into your positions.
I didn't notice it the first time I read, but as the mini flying mousers are attacking,
yep,
the new weapon that Mikey has, the Tonfa, the sticks, if he clacks them together, it lets off a small localized EMP.
Yes.
So we can use that to fry robots. Like, very
so
cool,
nice.
Very clever.
Yeah, this is very clever, very awesome. We go to the tower, Master Hiroto. We are receiving multiple reports of gunfire and explosions on Roosevelt Island. Oh, it's Roosevelt Island. That's what it is.
There we go.
Casey and crazy old Baxter. Maybe he'll blow himself up this time. Leave me alone. I'm working. Wait, on second thought, send a squad over to make sure he's not blowing himself up. Yeah, these flying mousers. Oh boy. Yep. And yeah, that weapon he has now. Oh boy, that's one hell of a weapon he's got there. Very cool.
April shows up in the tumbler.
Yep. Just need to make space, and in you go. So she plugs in Fugitoid's head, and now lots of power. Honeycutt, here! Fire everything! Kill them all! Baxter, he don't look so good. It's an interesting design on his head, but he don't look so good.
That's Al Simmons when he's not wearing the Spawn mask.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And yeah, April versus Baxter. I love this. What do you think you're doing? Saving the world. But first, this is for my husband. Damn woman, I nearly felt that. I'll finish you momentarily. My
He's gonna feel this.
What did you say?
Yep, Honeycutt's head.
Yep. No, stop. You shall pay. You shall not pass, but you shall pay. For my family. And this... I know this is Fugitoid's doing, but this panel here, where it's him saying for my family, and it's Ronin. Oh, God.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
So you always mention how when you read these, you hear Robbie Rist or Josh Pace or any of the voice actors, and you are a voice actor guy. I was thinking this morning that I don't always hear it. Like, I have my favorite voice actors, but when I'm reading it, I don't always hear it in those voices. With the IDW series, everybody has, in my head, kind of had this idealized voice that is what they sound like, and they don't sound like any of the actors quite there. But ever since the 2012 series, wherever I read Fugitoid, Professor Honeycutt, it has sounded like David Tennant.
Yep.
I can hear it with the electronic filter that they put over his voice, his accent. Honeycutt is David Tennant now.
Yeah. Well, I don't even like. I don't. I have to do some research, and I'm not going to do it right now, folks. I'll have to look it up. Again, I'll probably tell you guys later in the episode after we come back from the second ad break, but or a different ad break. I don't remember who voiced him in 2003. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember him from that series.
Mm-hmm.
Or from the original cartoon. I don't
think he was in the... I could be wrong.
He was a toy.
Yeah. I know he was in the 2003 series because I remember them doing Triceratons and this and that and everything. So I remember from that. But yeah. So Fugitoid basically says, for my family, it shows Last Ronin. For my friends, it shows Casey. It shows for everything, it shows one of the grunts here. And Baxter, go bye-bye. So no fly for you.
Disintegrates him.
Yep.
And then what I think happened here... Yeah, okay. So Baxter had nanobots in his person, and once he died, he's now no longer in control of them, but Honeycutt, I think, is controlling them.
Yeah.
And they shut down the power to the base and the entire city and all of the robots.
All the
robots.
No
longer have control.
Yep, nope, you're not going to believe this. You're not going to believe this, Linda. Everything's shutting down, even the foot cops. Mm-hmm. Which it makes sense because now we just have them versus Hiroto.
Yep, and any human foot soldiers left.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why they did it.
Yep. And I love how we cut to the Foot Clan headquarters, the tower. Sound full tactical alert. I want everyone and everything with a weapon in this tower now. And I want Stockman standing in front of me within the hour. That's not going to happen.
That's going to be kind of hard there.
Yep. For rock bottom, Hiroto's next. The bum. Love it. Every time I hear the bum in any of these, I always think of the what say you, oh honorable sensei? Throw the bum out.
Throw the bum out.
That's right. I always think of that. So Mikey and April, they are Mikey, April, and Casey. What's Casey say here? God damn it. Thing went too far. Here we go. I think we won this battle, not the war, and not at a price I'm willing to pay anymore. So Mikey goes back and he starts pondering, and the brothers show up, and Leo's in his head here. They're all in his head, but Leo starts talking, and The Last Ronin, Part 5. Look, I don't even know where okay, so we did part 3. I remember that, like, that was all of part 4, and then we get here, like, wow. Yep. So wait, what the?
Yeah, the last panel of 4 is but not the war.
But not okay.
And then I had to wait like 3 months until the last one.
Well, yes, that's unfortunately when the pandemic happened, as we've already mentioned, folks.
I don't think it had anything to do with the pandemic. That's just old Mirage habits.
Well, no, there was a big thing between the distributors and every, like, Diamond, who was the
Yeah.
Diamond Comics, like, the whole comics industry was getting out of Diamond Comics because Diamond was doing, like, some sort of shady stuff or whatever. So yeah, so we get part 5 here. We get the final issue of The Last Ronin.
Ninja Pizza? Well, what do you know? Rock, dudes. Do you realize what this is?
The crucial piece of evidence we were looking for?
The clue which will lead us to the heart of the evil ninja empire? No, even better. It's a place where we can get some pizza! Right on!
Okay, I'll head up there and check it out.
No, April. It's too dangerous. You wouldn't last 5 minutes in a ninja pizza parlor. I love saying lines like that.
We better go with you, April.
That's right. And besides, we're hungry.
All right, so before we get too far into part 5, folks, we're going to go to a quick ad break, and we will be right back right after this.
I'd like to invite you all in, but I really don't have anything to offer you guys except for frozen pizza.
Let's go for it!
Hello, geeks and geekettes! Looking for a podcast that covers a vast array of topics? Then check out Altered Geek Unleashed, where we discuss our thoughts on this week's geeky news, tech, gaming, television shows, movies, cartoons, comics, and more. So, get altered, get geeky with the Altered Geeks. Every Friday on the Geekcast Radio Network.
Because the world needs another movie podcast.
The Geekcast Radio Network presents for your listening pleasure the Cinema Geek.
Hosted by Amanda, Kevin, Matt, and Dan.
Each week we dive headfirst in the landscape of movies as we discuss movie news, play movie games,
go in-depth on reviews,
and even have a top 10 countdown or two.
Also, don't miss our director retrospective series, where we review noted directors' movies film by film. Bottom line is, if you love movies and love podcasts, you need to experience the Cinema Geeks.
You can find us on iTunes, Blog Talk Radio, or GeekCastRadio.com.
Hey, welcome to the Last Comic Shop Podcast, a comic book podcast that actually talks about comics.
Yep, each week we open the shop up and read and discuss a comic.
Sometimes we pair that up with comic book movies or TV shows.
Or not. Lots of times it's just comic books and sound effects.
Oh, yes, definitely lots of sound effects. So tune in on all the major podcasting platforms for the Last Comic Shop Podcast, or check out our library of evergreen shows at www.lastcomicshoppodcast.com.
Like science fiction? Of course you do, or you wouldn't be listening to the Geekcast Radio Network. Well, the Marku 42's Universe podcast is an award-winning sci-fi radio show that's been around for over 10 years. We cover everything from Doctor Who to the MCU to pop culture and everything in between. A new show drops on Tuesday mornings on the GCRN website and all of the major podcast platforms. So listen to the Marku 42's Universe podcast from the universe and beyond.
You are receiving a transmission from the Rod Pod. Upload pending.
Stand by for soundtrack transfer.
I am Maggie.
And I am John.
And we are trapped, hurtling through space in a ship shaped like Rodimus's head.
The ship, for reasons we haven't been able to determine, contains the entire run of the IDW Transformers Phase 2 comic, which chronicle the events following the end of the war between the Autobots and Decepticons. So we figure we may as well read them all in order and report our findings to you. Stand by. Stand by.
Upload complete. Now.
Rod Pod.
Look for us at marriedwcomics.libsyn.com, at iTunes, at Stitcher, or wherever good podcasts can be found.
So, till all are one.
Till all are one.
On the Simplistic Reviews podcast, we talk movies. We talk TV. We talk.
Hello, Julie, what the heck are you doing?
Trying to make our spots sound more exciting by adding explosions.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you could have got the point across with sound effects, not the real thing.
Car. Download the show on iTunes or at simplisticreviews.blogspot.com.
I'm sure your insurance company will cover that.
No, they won't.
No, they probably won't.
Yes, dudes and dudettes, Major League Butt Kicking is back in town. Oh, yeah.
All right, we are back. The Last Ronin, issue 5. Holy crap.
We're there.
We're there.
And I wish I'd have picked up this retailer incentive cover, because even the regular cover looks a lot like one of the Dark Knight issues.
Yep.
But then they actually did a Dark Knight homage cover. Eastman did.
Yep.
That with the blue lightning bolt and the characters in silhouette, which solidifies that thing that I should have noticed from the beginning, that this was totally stylistically inspired and thematically inspired by Dark Knight.
Miller. Yep.
Frank Miller.
I mean, they got the car and everything. I mean, yes,
you're right.
Very...
Geez, it's not even thinly veiled.
No,
I mean, the first issue, there's a little turtle in there that says "Thank you, Jack Kirby and Frank Miller." Yep. Like Frank Miller's premier inspiration for this.
Yep, absolutely, which is awesome. That's so cool.
Yep.
And again, you can have, inspired by, but this is a wholly Turtles story. It's a Turtles. It's a Dark Turtle Returns story or whatever whatever. So we start out with, I think I was only ever in this room once when Father was still alive. Looks exactly the same. Whatever, Don. How much longer are you going to just sit there, Mikey? Until I'm done. That's how long. Stop talking. So this whole scene is just Mikey being fed up with his brothers. They're trying to give him advice, but they keep saying the same old to him, and you guys sure like yapping more than you do listening, and I'm getting sick and tired of repeating myself. I want you all to stop talking now, as he gets all his gear on. Right, you'd be lost without us. No, I wouldn't. It's worse now than when you were alive, constantly telling me what to do. And what do I have to show for it? All your orders, knowledge, this is all that's left.
He shows them the leftover weapon bits.
Weapon bits in the book, and too many innocents getting hurt. Yep. So we are now at the beginning parts of this final battle.
It's an important thing as he leaves to note that he leaves the journal behind after writing in the last page.
So wait a minute. But this is the now, right? This isn't a flashback.
Yep.
So it already had no peace in it, right?
Yep.
So then, do we ever see what he writes?
Yep.
Okay. It's been a while, folks. So, but yeah, we get down to the street level, down to the rock bottom, where Casey is giving orders, and Casey, we just got word. The power outage is causing flooding in the sewers. Oh no, the lair! I get to Hiroto. What do you mean you still can't reach Stockman? You're dead. Master, I silence. Yep. And yeah, I was right. Every costume change that Hiroto does, it's an homage to every single Shredder design over the years, because whatever this one is, this black and purple look, this doesn't look like movie Shredder, because movie Shredder had a cape still.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it was, well, I guess technically it could be homaging the end of it where he took the cape off. Because I recognize that it's kind of like Raph in '87. I recognize that Wada used chewing gum anywhere. I recognize that shoulder pad anywhere. It doesn't have blades on it, but, you know.
Maybe it's a skin suit for what he starts wearing later.
That's true. And he says, and bring me my armor. I'm going to hunt and kill a mutant. I love this look.
Mm-hmm.
Of Mikey just standing there looking at the tower. That is so cool. So Casey gets back down to the sewers to try to find April. The sewers are flooding. She's looking, and April's trying to get the stuff to work and everything. And this is where we get the explosion of Casey's emotions, because what? Hey, no, we didn't even say goodbye. You didn't even say goodbye to him. He didn't even say goodbye to me. He went to ask him to help with the pump, and he was already gone. Damn it, Casey Marie Jones, stop it. You'll hurt yourself. Will I really, Mom? I know I'm
a
different.
mutant.
I'm a mutant. Us. Long before I met the Turtles, long before you were born, this war was happening, and they trained their entire lives to end it. So, yep, we get back to the tower, and we get a nice little
He's just marching through all of these foot soldiers. Yeah. They might have been well trained, but they got lazy with all those robots around. It's like leaving a Raphael shaped wake behind him.
Pretty much, yeah. Yep. Using the katana. Time to get up close and personal. Hold on, crows attacking on command? Something is not right here. More synthetics. So he destroys all the birds. And more robots and this wing... I'm going to say wing thing, but I swear that thing where the page where he says that hurt, where is... Damn it. Where'd you go? I swear that was Wingnut, but it isn't Wingnut. It's a different. It's a different robot thing.
Yeah, it's another one of the weird robot things. These robots are on a separate power system. It says that they.
Yep. Another hit and I'm dead. Need something big. Oh man, I love this. So we get to the top of the tower. As we're in a video game here, all I know is this has been a long time coming, and all you need to know is I'm the one who's going to finish it. The last of the Oroko bloodline ends tonight. You. And your mother, says the worthless Ronin who couldn't save his own master. Oh, boy.
He's monologuing like a good Orokosaki does.
Yup. Monologuing and transforming, because here is let us begin the end, and this is the 2003 Shredder. This whole liquid metal suit looks so much like when 2003 Shredder super upgrades at some point in the series.
Yep.
Yep.
And then I'm enjoying that full splash page.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that battle is amazing. And then we get back to Casey, and she's watching the battle. Comms are coming back online, and my mom still no word. Okay, just keep trying this. This is gonna hurt. Oh boy. Falling to their doom. But they're still alive. Yeah, if that's not I mean, I know that this isn't the Dark Knight thing, but when I saw the this is gonna hurt panel with the like, oh, that's very Dark Knight. No lightning, but very Dark Knight. Mm-hmm. So they crash into the water tank, and nothing broken, I think. At least nothing important.
Yeah, your head's long gone, dude.
Uh-huh. Yep. There. What's this? A scratch, and I've only recently had this polished. So Mikey notices that it's a nanotech suit thing, and he has to keep at it until he can find another opening. And I love his monologue as he goes through here. That fall did more damage than I thought it did. I'm practically moving at half speed, and he knows it. He's taking full advantage.
Yeah, Mikey's getting beat up.
Oh. I love it, but a gift from Raphael.
Boom. Yeah, it uses a grenade of some sort to take the armor off his hand and stabs him with the sai through it.
Through his hand, yep. Yep. You're on hallowed ground now, chump, and your fancy armor's busted. Fine. I yield. You win.
No, he doesn't. No.
He doesn't. There is no win or lose today. Only an end. You're right. This is an ending, mutant. Stupid cocky fool. Yours. Oldest trick in the book. And I fell for it. Need to regroup. And Donatello's bow staff gives him that space, and Casey goes to save her mom because her mom's underwater.
Oh, yep, they're trying to fix the pump to keep the sewer from flooding. Oh, that's awesome there. That's where the fight ends up after they've fallen off the building. They're in the sewers, in the water, fighting now.
Yep. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Once they get April and Casey get the pumps flowing, and so then their fight is interrupted by the rush of water, and it sweeps them out of the underground.
Out of the underground. Yep. The water takes them, and we get out to wherever it is they are now. It dumps them out into the reservoir, into the whichever river in New York it is. The viaduct here. Head spinning, guts leaking, can barely stand. You will not survive this, mutant. I cannot be defeated. He's right. This whole thing's been a one-way ticket.
So he's finally getting a one-up on him.
Yep. And Hiroto's dead. Mikey's
barely pulling himself out of the water.
Yeah. Okay, this is just me, folks, and I'm sorry, and it works. I'm not complaining about the writing, but when Mikey pops up, some god. All I can hear in my head is Hulk, puny god. That's all I can hear in my head. I'm here, Sensei. It's me, Casey. No, you're not leaving. I can't. I brought the journal. See? Oh boy.
Yeah, this breaks my heart here that he never got to train her.
Yeah.
Not directly. And see, the journal, what he wrote.
I see it. Yep. He just changed it. Yep. No to no.
Now he KNOW's peace.
Yep. No peace.
And that's a lesson to Casey.
Yep. Absolutely. Oh, Mikey. Goodbye, my sweet friend.
And then we get that EKG callback from earlier in the book going flatline.
Mikey, wake up already. Jeez. Damn it.
And here's a nice, another testament to Ben Bishop and what he's done with the Turtles is we have this kind of afterlife sequence with these Turtles who look younger. These aren't the same old fart Turtles.
No. These are classic. Prime. Yep.
And Ben's always been able to differentiate the Turtles really, really well.
Yeah.
Even when they're in a basic costume like this.
Yeah.
This is them at their prime. They're living their best afterlife.
Yep. Yeah, it does. Smells like home. But that's not... I mean, that's
Mikey's end.
That's Mikey's end, yeah. But we get to the epilogue and Casey. And she just keeps training and training. I'll keep training and keep learning, and I'll keep getting better. Sensei, I won't let you down. We see her in April.
She's wearing the yellow number 5 shirt from 2012.
Yep. Very cool, very cool. And they are growing turtles.
Yep, because of course April had to fart around with that mutagen.
Of course she did.
Oh, yep, there's a TCRI canister in the background. And, yep.
Yes, there is.
She's baking turtles.
Which means that, yes, Mikey's end, but this is to be continued. Which brings us to TMNT 2, TMNT The Last Ronin 2, Re-Evolution, or Re-Revolution, or whatever the subtitle is for. There is a second book, folks. It is out. The first issue is out now, as you're hearing my voice, but we are waiting. I'm sure Jill will read it as issues come out. I am waiting because I just love reading it in trade.
There's something that came out before this that was still Last Ronin themed, and I don't know.
Last Ronin, The Lost Years.
Yes, Lost Years. Yep.
So we will have to cover that at some point because I think The Lost Years is either I'm not looking it up, folks, but if it's either the making of or it's the stuff that we've wanted this entire podcast episode that we didn't get in this trade.
I read an issue or two of it a while back, and it was covering what Michelangelo was doing on his kind of self-imposed exile because he tries to leave the fight after everybody's gone, and fights come and find him, and he has it.
Yeah.
He's like, that's it. Okay. And
yeah. So I'm sure later in the year, this year, we will have. I will make room for the Lost Years at some point once I actually get it, and then we will just be waiting until Last Ronin 2 gets collected, whenever that is. But covers. The first cover I have here is The Last Ronin, done by Eastman, with colors by Brittany. What's the name there? Brittany Pazilla. So there's that one. There's one done by Mateus Santaluca, which is nice. That is really cool. Love seeing Mateus's art. Esau and Isaac Escorza did a cover for it. I think my favorite cover, and I'm pretty sure looking at all of these, probably the cover that's going to be the podcast art is the one that's done by Sophie with him in the shadows pulling out the sword. That's good.
I'm looking. I have in the back of issue 1, there are There's a page with 40 covers
Mhm.
in it, and I'm trying to look at those one by one, but Ben Harvey, Shawn Anderson, Stan Yak, Ben Bishop, Freddie Williams, Francesco Mattina. There's just endless.
Yep, so many covers.
There it is. Nope, that's
There it
Scott
is.
McFarlane. I thought that was the Sophie cover you were talking about.
No, the Sophie cover is basically all it's all black, black with a little bit of white on his leg, but it's him in shadow pulling the katana. It's yep.
I need to find all my variants of this too, because I was buying quite a few when I saw them. Oh nope, here. Okay, not 40. 65 different covers.
Wow.
On this page. That's why, yep, there's Sophie's.
Damn. That's crazy good. Yeah, folks, TMNT The Last Ronin. This was amazing. This was awesome.
Yeah, and better. It's always better the second time around. It's interesting how it's almost like nobody listens to music like they did in the old days, where it was a social thing. You'd invite people over and you'd put the record on and you'd listen to the whole thing front to back together.
Yeah.
And I think I get so much more out of these comics reading it during the podcast than I ever did even reading it on my own. And it kind of makes me think, man, everybody, casual readers should read these things socially. And not even like read it in separate rooms and separate locations and then come together and talk about it. Like, no. You got to read it page by page together. It's such a different experience.
Yeah. Reading groups and reading meetups and all that kind of good stuff. But and there isn't anything in this that I don't like. There isn't a single thing there. The art is amazing. The writing is good. The story just is so intense. And for this to be a 32-year story in the making at the time, I think it was 32 or whatever it is, like 35, whatever it is. But we are at now, as we're recording this, at 40 years since that TMNT #1 debuted. Any final thoughts from you before I read the afterword from Mr. Eastman?
Nope. It's brilliant. It was as good as they said it was.
Yep, absolutely. So in March of 2022, Kevin Eastman wrote this afterword for the trade here. I remember peeling the wallpaper of the tiny living room at 28 Union Street in Dover, New Hampshire, as Peter Laird and I took turns filling the last black square of an organizational chart that represented the workflow of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles issue 1. It was now late spring, and the 40 pages of story that we created, wrote, and drew together were completed, and we couldn't have been more thrilled. It was the longest story either of us had ever produced. In good, bad, or ugly, it was all ours. With all the sweat equity coupled with a $1,200 loan from my very supportive uncle, Quentin Eastman, the final product was sent off to a local printer. If we were in luck, we'd get it back just in time for a local comic convention our friend Ralph DiBernardo was hosting over in Portsmouth. The stars aligned and everything arrived in time, and on May 5th, 1984, we unleashed our creation on an unsuspecting public. That was 38 years ago. So at the time of the collected edition, 38 years, and we are now at 40. We had produced the story with a beginning, middle, and end, an origin story, leaving the door open for more, but we never planned a second issue. The public, however, had other plans for us. By 1987, the dream had more than come true. We were drawing comics full-time, following in the footsteps of the creative heroes that inspired us, and things couldn't have been any better. As we built out our characters' universe, we wondered how long this would all last. We had our beginning, lots of outrageous adventures, but what would the end look like for our creations? Their final story? ? What if we looked 30 years into the future and explored a story set then? So we wrote it down, but this time our characters had other plans for us. 32 years later, and in the year 2018, the time to re-explore that idea had arrived. The extremely gifted writer Tom Waltz, with an incredible army of talented artisans, was heading toward wrapping up 10 years and 100 issues of the IDW TMNT universe, and Tom and I had the same conversation Peter and I had all those years ago. Where does it go from here? That original draft was dusted off, and the idea of the Last Ronin began to take shape. The approach was completely organic, like the old days when Peter and I worked together. The final story steadily evolved throughout the years of rewrites, designs, and layouts, including tweaking dialogue the night before it went to press in order to make it perfect. It is one of the most challenging projects I have ever worked on, and one of the most rewarding. Thanks doesn't say enough, Tom. Besides the brilliant Tom Waltz, series artists Esau and Isaac Escorza, Ben Bishop topped it off with colorist Luis Antonio Delgado, our true dream team. Without them, as well as series editor Bobby Curnow and designer Shawn and the entire IDW and Nickelodeon crews, this book would not have been possible. I would like to dedicate this book to my awesome co-creator Peter Laird, as we did in 1984 with issue number 1. I would also like to dedicate The Last Ronin to Jack Kirby and Frank Miller. The TMNT would never have been possible without you. Also, this one's for Courtney and Shane, with all my love and gratitude for your support. My heartfelt thanks go out to the fans. You've given me the greatest job in the greatest life, and I couldn't have ever imagined I will continue to try to earn it. Ben Eastman.
Wow.
Yep. So as I am a blubbering mess, folks, we're going to go to another quick ad break, and we're going to come back to close the show right after this.
Hey, what the? Whoa! And I thought insurance salesmen were pushy.
Hi, welcome to Up Nerd. What is Up Nerd? Up Nerd is a podcasting network of shows hosted by me, The Uneven Flow. People have told me I like to talk at them about a pretty wide range of topics: comics, games, movies, books, whatever. And now I'll be able to talk at you. Along with the weekly show will be 2 bi-weekly shows. First we have Fine You Pick, a show where one host picks a movie, then both hosts have to watch it. Then the next episode, the other host picks the movie. Each show will have a breakdown of why it is that movie was picked by that host, after which will be a discussion about what it is we just watched. Lastly, we have the show Top 3, Bottom 3. Similarly to Fine You Pick, one host picks a television series, and the next week, the pick alternates to the other host. Here, the episodes of the show are chosen by the top 3 episodes and the bottom 3 episodes, as rated on IMDb.com. Yes, this is probably the worst way to watch and review a television show, and yes, that's the idea. On our shows, I'll detail out how you can suggest things for us to watch. You can reach out and talk with the hosts, and maybe even appear on an episode. I hope you'll join me for this exciting new podcast adventure. I swear we're going to make it more than 8 episodes.
We are back, folks, and holy crap. The Last Ronin. Love this story. It was awesome. It was fun. 5 out of 5, no matter what.
Yep, 5 out of 5, and yep. I completely underestimated it at every turn until I read it this time. I saw it as I love IDW. They've given us the best iteration, but when they play the variant cover game and when they do the reprints, it only reminds me that IDW kind of rode the Turtles hard to survive as a company. And so sometimes the things that they do feel like a disingenuous money grab, but every one of the creators involved loves what they do, and they love creating it for the fans, and that's kind of what I thought The Last Ronin was. You know, hey, here's we're gonna imagine how many copies we're gonna sell because we're gonna put Pete Laird's name on the front of the book, and it'll be like they got back together. And but the story is great, the art is great, the way they handle the flashbacks is artistic. The story is just phenomenal, and how it parallels with kind of the real world coming back to where they all began, where the Turtles began. It's poetic. Yeah. And so, no, it's a really good book.
I mean, the cover game and the reprint game, if issues sell out and they go to reprint, that means it's successful and they can continue. That's why we have a C. I don't think they were going to do a TMNT Last Ronin 2 re-evolution or re-revolution. Again, I'm not looking at the stuff, folks, to know what the subtitle is, but I don't think they were going to do a second book after whatever. But because of those reprints and all of that stuff, and, you know, that means, hey, it's popular, people want it, let's do more, kind of thing. And yeah, but yeah, 5's all around. Like, there's nothing in, like, there's no, and I'm not one to be offended, quote unquote, offended easily or anything like that. I have a thicker skin than whatever, but there's nothing in here that usually stories, any story in any medium, if there's too much drugs, if there's too much this, if there's too much that, whatever, sometimes that'll turn me off. Or if there's a character moment that just I don't like or whatever, that might turn me. There's nothing in this book that turns me off to it, and that's the only reason why I enjoyed every second of it. So yeah, 5 out of 5.
Yep.
All right, folks, coming up for myself and Joe, we've got other episodes in between all of this, but we have got a fully loaded April, May, and June this year, because in April we will be doing Radiant Black Volume 4, which is the 4th trade for Radiant Black, and then Radiant Pink, which collects the 5-issue story for Radiant Pink. In May, we will get back to the IDW Reborn, because we are doing volumes 5 and 6 in May, and then 7 and 8 in June. So, yeah, that's what's going on here inside the pull bag for myself and Joe. As far as the rest of the pull bag, coming up next, I'm not sure. I have something written down here, but it only depends on when I can get it recorded and all that stuff, because the person is having some family issues go on, so I don't want to reveal too much about that, but I may need to change the next episode of the podcast. But we will be doing Ryan and I will be doing Superman Unchained at some point. We will do another Origins episode. JT from Saskatoon and I will be doing Batman Beyond Neo Gothic, which is the second story from Colin Kelly, Jackson Lansing, and that team from Neo Year that they did a couple of years ago. I have written down here, and we have to get on this and figure this out, I have written down here that we're going to, in the future, potentially, hopefully, do an interview with Rhonda Pattinson.
Oh, yes.
Pattison, I should say. There's no N. Pattison. Sorry, Rhonda.
Yeah, she's not related to the glowing vampire.
I know. Yeah. And then,
he was an awesome Batman, and that was so good.
That movie was just too long. Like, he was an awesome Batman, but that movie with 3 hours is too long for a single Batman story to me. And then for the rest of the year, folks, I don't know. I have big plans, and I keep saying I have big plans, but So if I'm just going to pull this up now while I'm thinking of this. If you go to our website, folks, geekcastradio.com, you will see the very top of the main page usually has, if it'll load, and I will edit this out as I'm saying if it'll load. Open, damn it, open. Yes, I'm Ultra Magnus. I'm so glad this is not multi-track recording, because this is going to be so much easier to edit with us on all one track. Okay, so if you go to geekcastradio.com, folks, you go to our main page, you will see, and the reason why I am not really waiting but hesitantly thinking about this is because the 6 main things that you see at the top, the 6 main posts that you'll see right now 3 Altered Geeks and 3 Studio 2009 episodes. So there's 6 of each of those. Over on Altered Geek, we did Streaming Services Exhaustion, we did Hollywood Go Home, Nobody's Watching New Stuff, and the State of Video Games in 2024. And then for Studio 2009, we are in the middle of our 12 Months of Star Wars series. My buddy Shawn and I did Ford versus Ferrari, and then I've launched The Gamer Origins, which is 30 questions all about video games, which I will talk to you about that off air. So yes, but these 6 links, these 6 images, these 6 whatever, they're all the main arts for the podcasts. Well, and the reason why I'm doing all this and saying all this is my plan for the pull bag at some point this year has been to take it daily, which means a lot more recording, a lot more editing on my part. But yeah, so basically I need different arts for every episode, and it would basically just take it over. So I'm basically probably going to ask Steve to take the pull bag out of the featured rotation at the very top of the main page and just have it somewhere closer to the bottom of the main page if I end up going to daily content. Mm-hmm. I've wanted to do this for 11 years, and I have a somewhat sort of plan of how that's going to be done, but I don't know yet. So that's what I mean when I say past what Joe and I are doing and what I've already mentioned that will be coming out. Past June, I do not have a plan yet, but there will be a plan in place at some point.
I'm going to do some written pieces coming up as well. I think I've got a couple of very important, not large, but important conventions coming up, and I like to blog sentimentally, and I'll get that content out there so that people can read it. Should be fun.
Hey, just come up with a title for the thing, whatever you want to title, like Joe Goes Conning or what, I don't know. I'm not thinking of whatever. Just come up with a title for it, and I'll just post it on the website.
Yep, cool.
Yeah, that's fine. It's no problem with me. Hey, written content's always great content. So that's what's going on, folks. Anything else we want to bring up?
I'm definitely doing a geek sale this fall, but that's a long way out.
Yeah, this is March.
Yep.
Sometime I think last time I asked you about Geek Stuff Garage Sale, you said sometime September or October.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's usually our plan.
Yep. All right, folks. I think that's going to do it. Thank you for joining us here inside the Pull Bag. If you'd like to get in contact with us or leave feedback for the show, there are several ways to do so. Visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can listen to and comment on all of our content. Send us email to feedback@geekcastradio.com. You can check us out on any of the podcatching clients you choose to use. I prefer Spotify, but that's just me. We are on Twix or X or Twitter or whatever the hell it's called now at Geekcast Radio for the show for the network, at the Pullbag for the show. I am at TF2 and Mike. You can check us out on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/Geekcast Radio Network. You can also check out the Pullbag as well as the Geek Stuff Garage Sale as well. Join us next time when we will be talking about some sort of comic. I don't know what we're doing yet because I don't want to make a plan and then the plan goes awry. So for now, I am TF2 and Mike with
Joe Reed.
As always, make your great escape into comics, and we will catch you next time.
Bye-bye.
Tonight I dine on turtle soup.
You've just heard the latest episode of The Pullbag, the GCRN's first comic review and discussion podcast. There are several ways to get in touch with us and leave feedback for the show. You can visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can comment on the episode and all of our different podcasts. You can rate and leave a review for the show on iTunes. Be sure to leave us feedback. Become a fan of us on Facebook, facebook.com/thepullbag. Send us an email, feedback@geekcastradio.com. Follow us on Twitter @thepullbag and @geekcastradio. So until next time, make your great escape into comics and unleash the geek in you.
Let's see what we got here. We got pizza. Got that, dude? Pizza. Frisbee. Also cool. Who frisbeed me in the face? I'm out of here. Why, I oughta...